The destiny of America is always safer in the hands of the people than in the conference rooms of any elite.
This is a majority report. Breaking, well, not really breaking, but special news coverage of DNC Night 3, 2024. On the majority report.
Okay, now it's messing with your mic a little bit, so maybe we should.
Okay. What's that?
Perfect. Hello, Sam.
What was that?
Well, that's going to be the shot with the
I have a
camera
solution for
behind
it. What
you.
was that thing?
It's like it's a border package.
Ooh, yeah, we're losing Sam a little bit, it looks like. If we can bump
Okay.
everyone down a little bit.
Am I back?
Yeah, now you're back a little bit choppy.
I don't know what's going on. I have full bars. Hi guys.
Hey, Sam. How's vacation?
Well, it's just starting for me, and as you can see, it's going great.
All right.
You can tell.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah.
Enjoying yourself?
Well, so we got coverage. Yeah, I am. Did you guys watch? I watched a little bit of last night. Of course, we'll watch tonight. I mean, I imagine you talked about it today on the program, but what
It would be
what
pretty.
was everybody's
We'd be
feelings?
pretty bad at our jobs if we didn't.
Wait, we talked about what?
Not sure what you're talking about.
Did Survivor debut last night? Oh no, tonight's Wednesday night. I realized I don't need to hear any more Obama speeches. Sort of I tried to watch it, and then I was tired and had to get up early today, but I was like, oh, okay. I get it. We got to be excited, and he's so he's almost so good at giving a speech that it feels like you're watching someone who is just good at giving speeches instead of actually sort of engaged in it. And I think it's
like the form.
Right.
Yeah. And I also sort of feel like, the rhetoric is great, but it feels like you're just taking a vacation from working in Hollywood. And
yeah, I like the calling him weird rhetoric more.
Him strolling through, even Michelle Obama, to be honest with you, it's just all right, then this is a pit stop, and then they're back to being whatever, rich people and producing Netflix or whatever. But we are not the target audience for this. Michelle Obama maybe got the biggest applause of anyone so far, and that's reflected in when you poll Democrats about her too. So,
well, I have to say, I from strictly the perspective of who the audience is for this, I can't imagine that as of day 3, the Democrats could have hoped for anything more than what they've got. This is conventions, they basically have second order importance in terms of the way that the electorate ingests them. And that is they set a narrative for the media and people who go to the conventions, it's a different story. It gets them psyched up. They get excited to go out and work in the field and canvass and volunteer and whatnot. It's an opportunity for people for networking, I guess, and connecting with other people. There's several thousand people out there who are out there to protest. But from the Democrats' perspective, in terms of the efficacy of these speeches, I can't see how they could go any better than they've been going, frankly. Let's tune in. Is that Murphy? Chris Murphy
this
is speaking.
Chris Murphy. Chris Murphy could
Let's
be,
listen to what
they're weak.
Could be Secretary of State.
Kamala Harris is not weak. For 20 years, Kamala Harris has been tough as nails when it comes to securing our border.
Oh.
When she was a California prosecutor,
God, we
she
tuned
went
in at the
after
right
drug
time.
smugglers, human
Yeah,
traffickers.
exactly.
She put 100 gang members away in a single sweep. Trump says that a safe nation can't be an immigrant nation. That's flat wrong, and Kamala Harris knows it. She knows this too.
Tough tone.
Engraved on the Statue of Liberty is a poem. The last line reads, "I lift my lamp beside the golden door." For generations, that lamp has called people to start a brave new life in America. My ancestors, your ancestors, and the parents of the next president of the United States of America. Kamala Harris knows that we can be a nation of proud immigrants and a nation of strong immigration laws. That's why when she's president, she will bring that border bill back, and Kamala Harris is going to pass it.
Great, the right-wing border bill that Biden put forward.
How do I know this? Because in this race, there is only one candidate who has ever been willing to do the worthy, redeeming work of making our country better, of recognizing that we do not have to choose between celebrating our heritage and enforcing our laws, right? The beautiful thing about America is that we can be both. We can be a nation of immigrants who love their country and a nation with a secure border. And there is only one candidate. There is only one candidate.
It's border night.
That vision.
I actually don't know if it's
America.
border night, but it sounds
And
like it's border
Kamala
night.
Harris.
Oh God, I
Thank you
hope
very much,
not.
Democrats.
Wow,
No Venezuela.
it feels like he
Please welcome
turned the volume
Bexar
down a little
County
bit.
Sheriff Javier Salazar.
Oh,
Oh God.
Here we go. This is who I was waiting for.
I mean, back to back this, and then also like kind of, they're inviting the hostage family up, but not any so far Palestinian representatives. Not a great
50,
start to
100
our
at a
stream.
time. Then they seal the doors. That's when the 911 calls come. We hear them, desperate, terrified, gasping for air. Now,
It sort of
sometimes we
felt
get
like
this
Chris
time.
Murphy got like the red light and he just sort of
Sometimes,
wrapped it
despite
up
our best
immediately.
efforts,
I
When Donald Trump comes down to Texas,
You don't care
stands
about
next
this?
to officers in uniforms just like mine.
I mean, not
He's
really.
not
Keep
there
the
to help
volume
us.
down a little bit. I
Don't
mean,
think
like, you know,
that,
look,
not
this
for
is
a
the
second.
difficulty
He is a
in
self-serving man.
covering, and put down his volume just a little bit more, if you could. This is the difficulty in covering the DNC, for the most part, is that we're not the audience for this. On some level, you know,
She's gone down to Mexico
the
to stop the traffickers.
the objective for the Democrats is to hit people who don't really pay much attention or to diffuse attacks from the Republicans. And, you know, I mean, this is,
We protect and now the
it's a TV show.
I know.
It's just not,
I preferred episode 1 and 2 of 1 being AOC and Sean Fain talking about with the Union Yes signs. And what was the theme last night? I mean, they had abortion on the first night too. Those
Right.
survivors. I don't know if there was even a theme last night, but
oh, there's definitely, there are definitely themes, but I'm not 100% sure what they.
okay. Who's this
Oh.
congressperson?
I'm Pete Aguilar,
Pete Aguilar. yeah.
chair of the Democratic Caucus. For 4 generations, my family has called California home. I grew up in San Bernardino, a working class
Great Mountain Goat song,
community
too.
defined by family, faith, and hard work.
This guy's so
These
boring.
values shared by Latino families across this country, are what made my family's American dream possible. And only Kamala Harris and Tim Walz will protect the American dream so that every family can earn a living, own a home, and reach their full potential.
Yeah,
This
home
is a
ownership
vision
again.
for America that Donald Trump will never understand. All he knows is chaos and division. He talks about tearing
I would have
American
really
families apart,
enjoyed a night where everything was, we're just going to talk about how weird they are.
community against community.
Yeah.
Exclusively
Compare that to
clips
what Kamala
of
Harris
how
has done
weird they are. Sort of like our show.
Almost
Yeah, they could let us
1 million
program it.
people
Yeah, we should.
We could have done it.
Programmed it.
and are married to a U.S. citizen can now apply for
I'll make
lawful
Ilan
permanent
Pape the
residence.
headline speaker.
They're talking
DACA recipients
about the executive order
easier access
that
to work
essentially
and we would have much more security
protected
at
from
the border
prosecution
if
about
Donald Trump
500,000
hadn't tanked the bipartisan bill.
immigrants
We don't
who
have to
are
choose
married
between a secure
to
border
and
building an America for all.
an American
Under
citizen, I think it
President
was.
Harris,
Yeah, I think they call it a
we
parole
can
in
and will
place.
do both.
As
Right.
yeah.
That's what they call it.
Yeah.
It's like the policy term.
Well, because
for it.
you only have discretion in terms of like, you have prosecutorial discretion.
President,
So you basically say, we are not going to choose, and you give, and that's what DACA and DAPA have been, essentially,
as the highest
Right.
ranking Latino in
until they
Congress,
are
our
statutorily
community
implemented.
understands the stakes in this election.
Parole in place still is like a criminalizing term for immigration, but whatever.
We believe our nation is stronger when we keep families together. We believe our union is more perfect when dreamers become
Oh,
doctors,
I have some IMs to read.
teachers,
Uh-oh.
and military service members.
You can IM the show if you remember. Generally speaking, I hate listening to politicians talk. I much prefer to read transcripts, says Paul from Syracuse. Noah from Tampa. Barack and Michelle took linguistics college and know that all language is performance. I ran into Dayan today, but I didn't recognize him until he was 30 feet away from me.
Oh, cool.
Vegetable sauce. Not me, this person. Vegetable
No,
sauce.
yeah.
Be worried about your mentals.
Right, you need a new vision
that?
prescription.
Um,
Okay, we could turn this down.
Sam looks more stylish than usual. Oh, thank you. This is actually like an Old Navy shirt. That's basically it. What about
so well
Michelle's
spotted.
speech? Yep. Biden and I. When I break out the Old Navy as opposed to the New Navy stuff. Biden and Harris had a call with Netanyahu earlier. Think they're actually going on offense now? I don't know.
Was it Biden and Harris? All I saw was Biden reported for the ceasefire, but that would be interesting.
Demian, just so you know, Hassan.
Oh, she joined the call. Interesting choice, putting her across this ceasefire that's not going to happen.
Demian, just so you know, Hassan was pretty bummed that real Uncle Sam and Emma were not at the DNC. Well, Hassan should have brought us. I saw like some of his broad. He's got like a freaking booth.
I know. We should have done this, but at the time when we were planning, no one wanted to go to the Biden DNC.
Yeah.
It would have been fun now, but I would have loved to be a part of the protest.
I like
but-
Chicago.
Yeah, and I've never been to I've never been to Chicago, which is just like a huge
Really?
bummer. I've been to North Dakota 4 or 5 times. I've never been to
Been to
Chicago.
Yeah, I've never been to Chicago either.
It's
which is
I hear it's a great town.
I'd love to go.
Yeah.
Maybe live
Kobe
shop,
from
but-
SoCal.
Yes.
Have you guys seen Philip DeFranco? Yeah, it would actually be a good place to do a live show. Have you guys seen Philip DeFranco's interview with Shapiro? He seems to be trying to push back on the idea that he is mad for not being picked.
He saw our video? No, I don't know. But
I have no idea. No, I have not seen that.
But it is. I haven't seen that. First of all, Philip DeFranco, that was probably like my first YouTube subscription. Like maybe when I was 10 or 11 years old. That's pretty cool that he's doing political interviews now. I didn't know that. But no, I haven't seen that, but we'll check that out for tomorrow.
I haven't been keeping close on the Shapiro. Emma has.
Well, not close enough. I do have such strong spite in me. I don't know if people are aware of this, but I like
think
to
people
compete. I like to win, and then I like to rub people's face in it. Yep.
Another latte sipping jam. Sam got his computer to work. Way to go, old timer. Love you. Donald Trump's
just don't
nephew.
do a thumbs up or something, and then you'll get all those graphics.
Oh, did you see that? That was on my Zoom.
The
And I had
fireworks.
fireworks. I don't know what that was
just
about.
go to preferences and disable it.
No, don't.
That was so awesome, Sam.
Should we help you? Let's help you troubleshoot it now in the middle of our DNC stream.
Trying to think of what the most inappropriate time. You're talking about like forever chemicals on like nonstick pans, and all of a sudden the fireworks.
This is what this will do to your organs.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. Well, I've been trying to figure out how to like get the backdrop. They got to add that to Ping. That's what really should happen. That's right. We should be able to.
Do you want to talk about RFK and that situation?
I mean, it's I've seen now 2 interviews with his running mate, and her name escapes me. Moneybags. What is her full name?
Nicole Moneybag Shanahan.
Her full name is that like infertility solved by sunshine ? Wasn't that a whole thing of hers? Yeah.
I mean, I imagine. I don't imagine she's going out there doing it twice. And not doing it without the full knowledge, obviously, of Kennedy and the full, encouragement. It seems like it was a test balloon to see if they could, if Trump would bite at giving him a position in the cabinet or something like that. And I think he's going to endorse Trump, and it's really. It couldn't be more sort of like sad and creepy and pathetic.
Distressing, and not like something that I would welcome if I were the Trump campaign, although I guess they're desperate at this point. But I mean, they'll take it, but this is not helping the weird allegations. RFK recently has been in the news for having a brainworm, for dumping a dead bear cub in Central Park. For later, a year ago, he said that COVID was a bioweapon that Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese people were immune to. Like, you want to say, fair.
Some weird comments about HIV.
Yeah, like, if you wanna continue to get that weird label, I don't know, highlighting an RFK endorsement.
I think a lot of those people might not turn out to vote.
Right.
I would be surprised. I mean, look. He was taking a lot away from, or he was taking more away from Trump than he was Harris. I think to a certain extent, this is something that if he was going to do, he probably should have done like within days of Harris getting the nomination, like the unofficial one, because to a large extent, like it seems like it's already baked into the polls, at least the head-to-head polls. There's no guarantee. I mean, I think you're right. Like, there's no guarantee he's going to pick up all of those RFK votes. Trump may pick up a bunch of them. I don't know how many states RFK was actually on. It might mean he doesn't have to worry about, there's, Texas or something like that in some way. I'm not sure he ever had
North
to.
Carolina, he's concerned about because that just Political Report just moved that to toss up, which is maybe, one of the most respected in Washington, right? So if he loses North Carolina, that means really bad things for Trump nationally, because I think he won North Carolina against Biden by like 74,000 votes, if I'm not mistaken. So that would be a pretty big swing towards Harris.
Well, I mean, people should also just be aware of, like, I mean, the reason why everything is on Central Time during this convention is because the strategy of the Biden campaign and the Democrats was to win the Rust Belt. We're not going to compete in the Sun Belt. We're only going to we're going to focus on the Rust Belt. For the Sun Belt to have opened up and become like another path for, in this instance, Harris to win the nomination, you'd have to win Nevada, Georgia, North Carolina, and Arizona. It just means that the limited resources that Donald Trump has, and by that I mean not so much money, although I have money possibly. I mean, I think a lot of that money is probably,
sloshing around in places most buttoned-up campaigns wouldn't put it.
We lost a zero somewhere on the spreadsheet. I can't quite figure out where. But also, I don't know that they really deployed, people to get out the vote as early. I think they're behind it on that. Now, you look at like 2016 and the mistakes that Clinton made in that instance. And I just remember Mike from PA, who now streams on Twitch, calling in and saying, we were doing canvassing and 25% of the people whose doors we were knocking on and the days before the election were Trump voters. And the reason why that happened was that Clinton's campaign, instead of deploying volunteers early in the campaign to go out and build their voting lists and to sort of confirm their voting list, they used models, algorithmic models, and in part maybe because they couldn't get the volunteers to get out. And so 3 days before the election, they're getting reports that they're hitting only 75% of the doors they're knocking on are actually Clinton voters. That's bad. That number 3 days before the election, you should be hitting on 95 to 98% of the doors you hit on should be people who you believe are going to vote for Clinton, but may not go out to vote. Not 25% of them being, Trump voters that you're reminding to vote against Clinton. I mean, that's
a 3 months before that problem, right? Like that's something.
100%.
100%. And to your point, Arizona and Nevada now have abortion on the ballot. It's official for both of those states. So that, the easiest path for her to win, which is if she could lose Arizona, Nevada, I think North Carolina and Georgia. But if she won Wisconsin, if she won Michigan, and if she won Pennsylvania, she'd have a narrow electoral college victory, although probably lose the Senate. But now multiple paths to victory with North Carolina being a toss-up. So Trump's probably thinking with RFK, with him being on the ballot in North Carolina, this helps him a little bit, although I'm not sure how much in the final estimation of things.
Well, I think, I don't even know how much sort of calculation they have to do as much as we're just gonna throw everything against the wall at this point. I mean, I think they've got to be in some type of fairly big panic mode over in Trumpville, because he's having such a sort of psychotic meltdown, and they didn't seem to have planned any, there was no contingency for what they kept saying should happen. They really outsmarted themselves. I mean, this is about as dog catching the car as it gets, except for in this instance, the dog bit the car, slammed its face into the rear bumper, did not seem to realize that the bumper was made out of steel, and shattered its face.
Well, I would amend that to say that the car hit the bear, and then the bear was put in the trunk, and then the bear was dropped into Central Park.
I was coming back from a falconry retreat in Goshen, New York.
What's going on now on the?
Oh, did we not want to play this? This was supposed to be so we played Nicole Shanahan. Yeah.
Oh yeah, let's do. Okay, sorry. Okay. I didn't realize we were teeing this up. Okay, so this is. I just let me reintroduce it.
Yeah.
This is Nicole Shanahan. You may not recognize her name because on the Kennedy campaign, she is known as the Bank. And she was named vice president because of her vast experience in woo, and also the fact that where did she get all her money from? Who was she married to?
A Google guy.
Sergey Brin, the co-founder
right.
of Google.
So she got a lot of her money, and God bless, she deserves it as much as anybody, I guess. But nearly half, if not more, of Kennedy's campaign funds came from her. Yep. And so she bought her way onto
reparations.
the ticket.
I mean, he's appealing to divorced guys. That's money from a divorce. It makes a lot of sense.
And the campaign just had to refund her $1 million to his own VP, which is, I would say, like not necessarily typical.
Sometimes you run for office and you loan, but here she is. And here she is explaining, I guess there's also a possibility. Well, let's talk about what the other possibility is after she discusses.
She kind of lays it out.
She lays it out, but I have another theory as to what could be going on here.
Okay.
That just seems to continue to spiral. And I think that what my gut tells me right now is that we just have to keep being honest. I got to just keep being honest. I got to keep focusing on what matters the most outside of party lines. I need to
I love this thing.
I love these guys.
On a vision that goes beyond November. And if that means that we stay in, and there's benefits to staying in. If we get over 5% of the vote, we actually establish ourselves as a party. 71% of Americans want a strong third party with a real shot at winning. There's even public funds available if we get over 5% of the vote. So we could get, I think it's like $13.5 million in public funds to keep the party going. And that's, that's worth something. That means
it's worth $13 million
for a real third party election in 2028 where we don't have to go around and spend tens of millions of dollars on ballot access
of my money,
which means that we can spend all of that time and money campaigning. So there's two options that we're looking at, and one is staying in, forming that new party, but we run the risk of a Kamala Harris and Walz presidency because we draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump.
Jesus, guy.
Or
show some expression.
We walk away
I've been
now and join forces.
Wait.
Oh, sorry. We can go ahead, Bradley.
We draw votes from Trump, or we draw somehow more votes from Trump, or we walk away right now and join forces with Donald Trump, and we walk away from that and we explain to our base why we're making this decision. Not easy.
All right, we don't need to hear how she's agonizing over this, question. But the fact is, this is the first interview. There was a second one that she did yesterday on ABC, following up and basically reiterating this. I mean, so it's pretty clear this is what's out there. Now, it's weird when you hear this conversation, the words Bobby Kennedy, RFK, completely absent. I mean, aside from also policy stuff, I mean, completely absent from everything she's saying. The it's quite possible she's out there to sort of like test balloon this to see how much Kennedy's family will disown him, who will abandon him. Apparently, there was at least one major fundraiser or donor who basically said, "I'm out now. I'm out. Like it's become clear what's going on here." It's also conceivable that Shanahan is doing this to basically say to Kennedy, like, if you want more money, like this could be a leverage thing. You know, like, she's got a lot of money. And
well, you're right, because it was announced earlier this week he had $3.9 million left in cash on hand, $3.5 million in debts, and then earlier that month, as I mentioned earlier, he refunded Nicole Shanahan, his running mate, $1 million. So he's basically running on fumes at this point.
If that, I mean, he may need, when you have a campaign like this, it's not like you can stop spending on a dime. Like, you've already made commitments, et cetera, and I don't think he wants to be in debt after this whole thing. So who knows what's going on with that? And I think part of the reason why people were voting for Kennedy, I don't know, maybe there are soft Trump voters who would return to Trump after, sort of like I understand why there may have been some Democrats who are voting for Kennedy, the Kennedy name, but also the idea of like, I don't want to have to choose between two really old guys. But if you're still voting for Kennedy and you're taking away, like, how do you know that you're taking away from Trump? Like, yeah, I mean, it's like, you may be just taking away from the idea that this is an old guy and they don't want to go there. They don't want to vote for Democrats. So they just may stay home, is my point. Like, right. Those votes don't necessarily go to Trump.
All
because
to Trump,
whatever
I'm
the
watch
problem.
Russell Brand today.
Right. Well, did Russell Brand say it?
No, I mean, he's an RFK guy, but kind of like Trumpy too. So like all those people, that's who I imagine as the RFK guys, is like the sort of nonconformist, but
those guys
crunchy.
have to. Yeah, but those guys have to, like, I think there's a percentage, but I don't think it's as big as one would think, because I think that, like, there's nothing that's changed about Trump. Something changed on the Democratic ticket that drew people away from Kennedy. Nothing changed about
Kennedy's, the double hater dynamic went down after Biden dropped out.
Exactly.
And Kennedy's support went down by like more than half, I think, in a lot of polls. So that to that point, it broke towards Harris, and the remaining people will either vote Trump, or they may just stay home. So that's my point.
Is that
right?
that Trump's not doing anything different. That would keep them from being now a single, hater on some level, or a double hater, essentially. Like, they're still double haters. The people voting for RFK are still double haters. It's just that there were fewer of them when the 81-year-old guy dropped out. There's no reason for them to like Trump anymore. They could just not vote. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe they go to Jill Stein or I don't know.
Cornel West or whatever. But I just want to reiterate this point because that woman's so insane. She has said that exposure, or did I say this already? That exposure to sunlight could help women give birth into their 50s, and that IVF is a scam that is like for profit, so it's inherently taking advantage of people, which is like, aren't you a multimillionaire?
Exactly. You're a big time capitalist. The guy who she was talking to, just to give us some info on him, you might be surprised because he has such natural charisma as a podcast host, but that's not actually how he's come up. He sold Quest Nutrition, who makes those protein bars, a while ago, and now he spends his days doing podcasting.
God, that's so weird that those rich guys are into that. Sam, when you did that sound
protein
effect,
bars?
I almost choked. I need to just go to
Quest Nutrition.
blow my nose.
Yeah, I will.
I've never heard of that.
Made
I did the
laugh.
yeah.
My wine went up my nose.
He sold Quest.
Oh, that's us actually. You know what I really do want to do is the Candace Owens. I can't believe you guys didn't get to that. Oh my gosh. Mike Lindell. Did you guys see the picture of Matt Walsh that was floating around? Was that him?
Eyes. He's doing clearly some undercover thing.
Is that true?
I think that was him. Yeah. I mean, that maybe it was a guy that just looked like him, but I'm pretty sure it was Matt Walsh.
Why does he have to dress up like that? How well known does he think he is?
It's going to be a hilariously funny bit, I imagine, when we see it on the Daily Wire Plus.
The funny part is that Democrats look like him except for with glasses and long hair.
Well, the funny thing about that movie about the basketball playing,
Lady Ballers.
Yeah, Lady Ballers. Is that Matt Walsh plays a guy who's like a hippie who steals all of their girlfriends. It's a very weird projection, but he's a hippie who is very pro-vaccination. So it's a real great character.
Those guys are so
It'd
weird.
Be cool to spend money like they do.
It's so weird. Yeah, I was actually, I spoke to a reporter about Patrick Bet-David. Oh, did you see that Patrick Bet-David had this guy Bill Zarian on? Apparently, who's like just a vehement, yeah, like he's like
a real
out and out like anti-Semite.
I wouldn't be surprised. He's like a big muscle guy, right? That like always poses with guns and women. Yeah.
I wonder what Patrick Bet-David's sidekick feels about that. He seems to be absent every time they like interview a anti-Semite. He calls in sick or calls in Jewish
it's
or something
a good vacation,
like that.
Vacation benefits. You can leave whenever there's an anti-Semite in studio.
Exactly. Barely have to come into work.
Pretty generous policy, actually.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I'm trying to be off of. I got back on Twitter since Harris basically came into the race. A little bit more. I just like, and but I'm trying to be off for vacation. But I saw that Ben Shapiro made another proclamation. Oh, I did see Emhoff's speech, which I thought was, was interesting to have a potential first lady give a speech a little bit like that would be a little bit anachronistic now, but it's almost like Emhoff was doing the speech of a first lady from like 25, 30 years ago, maybe even more, where, he's talking about how like their courtship. I don't know. I thought that was pretty interesting.
Doug Emhoff?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not terribly invested in him one way or another any more than I would have been,
He's from New Jersey.
I thought he was from Brooklyn.
His parents are from Brooklyn, but he grew up in New Jersey.
Yeah, I think he was born in New York and they moved to New Jersey, yeah.
I'm not going to pretend like I've ever been terribly interested in Jill Biden either. I don't really know much about her. I mean, it's, yeah,
you kiboshed my Jill Stein newsletter that I wanted. Sorry, Jill Biden newsletter.
Oh, yeah. Hey, that's Dr. Jill Biden.
I didn't think that was a big winner. All right, let's do the Candace Owens thing because you guys obviously haven't gotten to it, and this is
Stevie Wonder speaking right now. Oh, sorry, go on.
Oh, let's go with Stevie Wonder. Let's go with Stevie Wonder.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I love him. He's a legend.
Shit. Oh yeah. This is actually the only thing I'm interested in.
Child prodigy, but
even though our hearts have been beaten and broken, beyond prayer, I know the importance of action, and now is the time to understand where we are and what it will take to win. Win the broken hearts. Win the disenchanted. Win the angry spirits. Now is the time. This is the moment to remember when you tell your children where you were and what you did. As we stand between
do you still want to
history's
listen?
pain
Okay.
and tomorrow's
I changed my mind.
promises,
I'm hoping he breaks into
we
some.
must choose
I'm a big
courage
Stevie Wonder fan.
over complacency.
All right. Well, all right. Listen.
We're calling the
Thank
shots
you.
here.
All right, let's do Candace Owens, because this is I know we'll say colloquially, like, Candace Owens is crazy, but this is crazy. I mean, this feels like a craziness that it's hard to attain without some type of externality aiding you in this craziness. I don't know how to say that without getting into litigious territory, but that's what I would say. Go ahead.
Do you think it's normal, by the way, that basically every person who speaks about Israel has to basically say a statement that's like, I don't want to get killed? like literally, because speaking about
Pause it
people
for
are
1
like,
second.
Candace, beef up.
I want pause it. I want to start from the beginning, but I just want to ask this question up front. Are people purposely doing a lisp to make Trump's lisp from the Elon Musk interview not like, has she always had that?
I've never heard that
quality
from her
to her.
before.
I heard Wolf Blitzer have a lisp tonight a little bit too. Is it a side effect?
It's like Pontypool.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Is there some
maybe
like,
everyone's
thing in the
getting
water?
veneers.
Do you hear her saying that? Do you hear her lisp? Like it seems.
Oh,
really
definitely. I
pronounced.
heard that. Yeah. And
thank you.
worries about her connections with maybe
Wow. All right.
Kanye,
Thank
given
you.
dental
I just
issues.
brought a drink.
Oh, there you go. Sam's being part of the party now.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. We get somebody. I get an audience. Okay. Go ahead. Play.
Do you think it's normal, by the way, that basically every person who speaks about Israel has to basically say a statement that's like, I don't want to get killed? like literally, because speaking about people are like, Candace, beef up your security. That's not fucking normal. Excuse my language, but that is not normal. Okay,
Pause it.
It's not normal that people.
Pause it. I do want to emphasize something is definitely not normal about what's going on here. Something's really not normal.
Yeah.
I mean, have to think about their security because, and by the way, some of it, then the way that you get comfortable with it is you're like, well, they shot JFK in an open car. So there's not, he's a sitting president. Obviously my security doesn't really matter. If they want me, they're going to get me. That's not a normal thought process to have. We don't have that about any other country in the world.
It's not.
Except for the one that, took over ours. And that's the truth. Okay. We are an occupied nation.
Oh,
and
no.
if it's going to take women having to speak up and say that to make permission, to give permission to men to do the same, then I'm happy to be the first person. Okay. I just want to be clear. Anything happens to me, blame the Zionists. 1000% blame the Zionists. Let that be my parting word.
You mean blame the Zionists like Mike Johnson, like Donald Trump, like the entire Republican Party, guys like John Hagee? No, not those kinds of Zionists.
No, I think the thing you're missing is if, for instance, she has some type of drug overdose, or if
she gets addicted to nitrous.
I'm saying yes, exactly. Or if somehow she ODs on Adderall, or somehow they find meth in her system, or if somehow there's all sorts of cocaine all around the house. Something like that. Then it's obviously you'll know that it wasn't something that she was doing. It was clearly the Zionists.
The Jews, yeah, that's what she means by that.
The Jews. Oh yeah, no, she definitely means the Jews. But there's something really not right happening in that moment.
It's a little manic, a little bit.
Yeah. Well, to be fair,
Stevie's performing. By the
oh
way.
no!
We
Is
didn't
he?
want you to
Oh,
miss it. Yeah. It ended. I'm so sorry. Well, I mean, they were bringing out all the. Lil Jon introduced the Georgia delegation yesterday. I had like 3 people text me about that. It's very millennial coded. Lil Jon yesterday introduced the Georgia delegation. You know, he's a rapper from when we were young.
Stevie Wonder was an artist from when I was young.
They're covering all the bases.
Since this is at the United Center, Kamala better come out to Sirius by the Alan Parsons Project. Bulls fans will know what I'm talking about there.
I wonder what Walz, so is Walz going to come out to, should we take a guess? Like, maybe Prince? That's a good chance. That's a good guess.
Purple Rain.
Or Clearwater Revival sounds like something he'd be into CCR.
More Cory Booker, thank you.
Cory Booker. Is he coming out now?
It's Booker night.
He's like the MC of the evening. Honestly,
Stevie's song is powerful, but so was his words.
As like a
he said courage over complacency. He gave us a call in his remarks. But now I got to tell you, the party is going to keep going.
Exactly.
We're just getting started, y'all.
More border stuff.
And this is a segment that I am very excited about. Because it might be Wednesday night. And we might be in Chicago. But
Bruce Springsteen?
It's starting to feel like something I've wanted to say my whole life. Live from New York.
Oh, Jesus.
It's Saturday night. Please welcome Kenan Thompson.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Sure.
I was so afraid it was going to be Kate McKinnon as Hillary.
Oh, okay.
Oh, man.
Kenan's
the one guy is fine.
He's very likable and also legend of childhood television.
He should also be governor of New York.
Yes.
All right. Y'all remember this big old book from before? When Colorado Governor Jared Polis ripped a page out of it? This is Project 2025, the Republican blueprint for a second Trump term. It is boo.
You can read cue cards.
A lot of people don't know Kenan is only 2 feet tall.
It is a real document that you can read for yourself.
It's a normal size book.
KamalaHarris.com/Project 2025. You ever seen a document that could kill a small animal and democracy at the same time?
Pretty good.
Here it is. You know how when you download an app and there are hundreds of pages there that you don't read, it's just the terms and conditions, and you just click agree, right? Well, these are the terms and conditions of a second Trump presidency. You vote for him, you vote for all of this. Let's take a look. All right, do we got Matt here with us tonight? Is Matt here? Hey, there he is. Matt, how are you, sir? All right, Matt.
Tech problems.
Now, Matt, I understand that you work
This
as
is
an
what
AV
happened to
tech
me
at
last
Nevada,
night.
And you make a decent hourly wage, is that right?
No.
Oh, no.
Oh, I don't know if we can hear Matt. Can we hear Matt?
Oh.
So who's gonna
this
fix
is
it?
what happened to me last night.
Keep speaking, Matt, till we can hear
Why do
you.
they have the AV tech guy can't be heard?
Uh-huh. Okay, that's good.
Okay.
I guess we're going to move on from Matt. And this is Becky. Becky, can we hear you?
Hi, Kenan. It's great to be here.
Thank you.
Embarrassing for
All
Matt.
right, good.
Poor
Now,
Matt.
He's the AV
you're
guy.
married, correct?
I am. Me and my wife have been together for about 8 years.
Oh. That's amazing. Very, very cute.
Thanks.
But I have got some bad news for you.
This is good.
I hate that.
On page 584, Project 2025 calls for the elimination of protections for LGBTQ+ Americans.
The first guy said he was like a worker or something, so I'm curious. I hope they bring him back.
Right back to the Stone Age. I'm afraid so.
Right back to the Stone Age. That's terrible.
Yeah, it is. Thank you, Becky, for being here and making that wonderful point. All right, next up, we have Nirvana. Nirvana, are you with us?
Oh my God, great name. Great name.
As well? All right, good. Now,
Nirvana, can we hear you?
We get a mic check.
I understand that you are on insulin to manage your diabetes, yes?
Yes, and thanks to President Biden and Vice President Harris, I only pay $35 a month for my insulin.
They should be talking about this constantly.
Yep.
That is great. That is great. But on page 465, Project 2025 calls for millions of people like yourself to pay more for prescription drugs like insulin.
Why?
Why? Well, I guess maybe to help Big Pharma make more money that they can donate to Republican politicians, I assume.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yes, unfortunately, it does make sense. All right, let's talk to Anita. Anita, are you there?
He's good. He should get like one of those Seth Meyers slots.
And Anita, what do you do
He's
for a
been on
living?
SNL for like 20 years.
I'm an OBGYN who
inherit
delivers
SNL.
babies and does surgery.
An OBGYN. She is an OBGYN that delivers babies. Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. It's bad news, isn't it?
It sure is. On page 459, Project 2025 resurrects a law from the 1800s called the Comstock Act to ban abortion nationwide and throw healthcare providers in jail.
Oh, my God. That is awful.
Yes, it is awful. All right, let's do one more. Is Sharia with us? Sharia, are you there?
Oh, they're just going to skip over Matt.
Yes, Sharia, I love it.
You may
All
bring
right.
him back.
Let's talk to you. I understand that you work for the federal government?
And
Yes,
they said
sir. I'm in the
Sharia law
United
was
States
not
Department
good.
I was just gonna say
Education.
that.
I'm a proud civil servant and a proud union president.
She works for the Department of Education and she's a proud civil servant. Well, unfortunately for you, on page 78, Project 2025 calls for President Trump to purge the civil service of everyone who isn't a MAGA loyalist. Are you a MAGA loyalist?
Now, Keena, absolutely not.
I'm just asking. I mean, you might as well be, because also page 319 calls for the complete elimination of the Department of Education.
Good job talking about this.
There's a bunch of stuff in here, but that's all we have time for at the moment.
That was
Just
great.
remember, everything that we just talked about is very real. It is in this book. You can read it online at kamalaharris.com/Project 2025. And most importantly, you can stop it from ever happening by electing Kamala Harris as the next president of the United States.
Bring that volume down.
I love him.
Yeah, we can fade that volume. That was great.
Yeah,
that was really great.
Yeah,
I mean, that super effective. I like the fact that, you know, any type of lo-fi comedy like that, where you sort of aware that it's like all, you know, it's
good propaganda.
But it's good. It's great propaganda.
Speaking of Mindy Kaling.
All right, let's hear Mindy Kaling.
Yeah, not my favorite, but listen.
Good evening, everyone.
Project 2025 for the Mindy Project.
Hello, and
That show was problematic.
welcome to the third night of the Democratic National Convention. My name is Mindy Kaling. Thank you.
Is she in The Office?
For those of you who
Correct,
don't know
yes.
me,
She's great.
I am
She wrote
an
she was one of the
incredibly
writers of The
famous
Office
Gen Z
too.
actress
So.
from The Office. Thank you, the Mindy Project. Or as the woman who courageously outed Kamala Harris as Indian in an Instagram cooking video. Yes, you're welcome.
She didn't mention Velma.
I am so proud to be here supporting my friend. But the real reason I am here is that deep down, I truly believe that as a woman of color and as a single mother of 3, it is incredibly important that I be appointed ambassador to Italy. That's how this works, right? That's like why I'm here. I've never been, I'm dying to go. And guys, I just really need a break. I know it's not the priority tonight, but just think about it. I am actually here because I have known the vice president for a long time, and I want to tell you a story about one of the first times I ever met her. She wasn't Madam Vice President then. She was my senator, and we were filming a video where she came to my home to cook dosas, a South Indian dish. Yes.
Mindy Kaling revealing she was Indian before she was
over,
black.
and I was pretty nervous. But when she
It's
arrived,
just like Mindy
we
Kaling
immediately
said.
hit it off.
Mindy
We
Kaling was
talked
the
about
first one
the
who
love
stated
we
it.
had for our moms, who had both passed away from cancer. Both of our mothers were immigrants from India who came to America and committed their lives to serving others. My mother, Swati, became an OBGYN. Thank you. Kamala's mother, Shyamala, became a scientist with a PhD who dedicated her life to trying to find a cure for cancer.
How'd that work out?
After speaking to Kamala, it was clear to me
It
that
didn't work.
Shyamala
I
had
like
passed
people who
down
cure-
the same
actually
optimism and
cure.
fearlessness to her daughter. But the thing I remember the most about the vice president is that Kamala Harris can cook. Guys, she was so much better
This
than
is
me.
actually really crazy. She's
But
like
she also
apparently a
knew
really good
that my
cook
family was watching.
in competitions
So,
and everything.
as she
Trump can order a
gently
whole bunch of
corrected my
burgers
sloppy
from any
dosa
fast food
making,
place you want.
Like
she was
Tim Walz
complimenting me
in the Al
every
Franken
step
cookout.
of the
Oh
way,
my God, Sam.
making sure that my daughter
You missed
Kit
a
heard
clip
how
today that
good
you
of
would
a cook I
have just
am.
loved.
She had
Franken?
no desire.
Can we
to be
turn
seen
this
as
down? I
better
mean,
than
I
anyone
don't know.
else.
Do you
She
care?
just wanted
no,
my kid
I don't care.
to be
Okay.
impressed with her mom.
So today we played a clip of Byron Donalds talking about the white guy tacos thing. And he like revealed to a crowd of Republicans basically that Tim Walz is being disingenuous about the white guy tacos because they unearthed an old recipe that Tim Walz used at Al Franken's cook-off in which he made tacos and it included green chilies. Boom!
Jesus Christ.
Honestly,
And
we
garlic
should just-
powder. Don't leave out the.
It's like
tell the
30
full story,
seconds.
Emma.
And
garlic
powder.
and onion powder.
You're
also.
right. You're right. You should just listen to this because it's like 30 seconds, and I think it's something you'd really enjoy.
I feel like I need to listen to it because we stopped at a gas station today and nobody was even talking about this at all.
It's so odd.
I find it hard to believe.
I mean, it's literally a kitchen table issue.
Pop this up.
Critical things like our border situations, obviously our economy, inflation, foreign policy. Those are the major issues facing our nation. And you've heard very clearly from President Trump and from Senator Vance about their vision to help our country. At the same time, you've heard nothing from Vice President Harris. You've heard nothing from Governor Walz. They interviewed each other. That was pretty cute, Brian. Actually, they had a little interview. That was cool. You know, white guy tacos. I guess that's the thing. Except that Tim Walz even lied about that because he won Al Franken's cook-off for tacos, actually making good ones with green chilies. The point of it all is that we have to be transparent about what matters in the lives of the American people.
I mean, I think that, look, I love the fact that he could juxtapose talking about the fact that Tim Walz actually had a taco cook-off and we need to talk about the things that are important to the lives of Americans. Like to juxtapose those two sentiments is pretty impressive.
But Jack Posobiec, when he sees a can of green mild chilies on a recipe in 2016.
Oh my God, he admitted.
It is unbelievable. He was like, Donaldson was like, this is going to get me the cabinet position that I desperately want.
Yep.
I was the guy who I stuck a steak in the middle of Walz's heart with a whole taco recipe story.
By the way, our boy Hakeem
Jeffries is speaking. We may have to listen to this. Yeah. I hope he doesn't do a rhyme.
Children in a great public school that is free from gun violence. And you deserve high quality, affordable health care, and you deserve the chance to one day retire with grace and with dignity. But for far too many people in our great country, they are struggling to live paycheck to paycheck. And as a result, the American dream is out of reach. Here's the thing. Extreme MAGA Republicans don't care about everyday Americans. They only care about themselves. Our approach, led by Kamala Harris and Coach Walz, is very different. We care about you, the American people. And we will fight hard to make sure that the American dream is alive and well in every single community. Now, the road ahead will not be easy, which brings me to you-know-who. Donald Trump is like an old boyfriend who you broke up with, but he just won't go away. He has spent the last 4 years spinning the block, trying to get back into a relationship with the American people. Bro, we broke up with you for a reason.
I don't think it's that bad. I was one of he can be bad, but that was a decent line.
The GOP tax scam, where 83% of the benefits went to the wealthiest 1% in America. Trump failed our country during the COVID-19 pandemic. Trump is a chaos agent who is focused on himself, not the American people. Trump tried to destroy our democracy by lying about the election and inciting a violent mob to attack the Capitol. Trump put 3 extreme justices on the Supreme Court who destroyed Roe v. Wade. We broke up with you for a reason. Donald Trump can spin the block all he wants, but there's no reason for us to ever get back together.
I told you he was going to rhyme.
We're not going back.
And a Taylor Swift reference right before that.
Oh, Jesus. Okay. Well, I don't know if you've seen those images, Trump truth, but apparently
Kamala Harris and House
the Swifties
Democrats
are for Trump.
Will always
AI.
put people over politics. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will lower costs and grow the middle class. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will fix our broken immigration system and secure the border. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will strengthen the relationship between the police and the community. Kamala Harris and House Democrats will continue to combat the climate crisis with the fierce urgency of now.
Barely been any mention of the climate crisis.
I'm saying his topic
Social
choice.
Security,
Good.
protect Medicare, protect Medicaid, protect the Affordable Care Act, protect working families, protect small businesses, protect the middle class, protect free enterprise, protect our children, protect our seniors, protect our veterans, protect our unions, protect our dreamers, and always protect a woman's freedom to make her own reproductive health care decision.
He really has his face barely changes, but he's,
Yeah, he's very one
face.
affect.
He's got one affect, one face. Yeah.
But the Constitution promises equal protection under the law. We are one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Together, let's build a brighter future for our children and our grandchildren. In the Old Testament, book of Psalms, the scripture tells us that weeping may endure during the long night, but joy will come in the morning. Here's how we do it. Strategize on Sunday. Meet the moment on Monday. Take it to them on Tuesday. Work it out on Wednesday. Thank the Lord.
I told you he was going to rhyme.
Fight the power on Friday. Set it off on Saturday. Get a few hours of sleep. Wake up the next day and do it all over again until joy comes in the morning.
At least he didn't do that alphabet thing.
Now there's only 76 days left. There are only 76 days left. We must continue to speak up. We must continue to show up. We must continue to stand up, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans. And when we do, nothing can stop Kamala Harris from becoming the 47th president of the United States of America. Nothing can stop House Democrats from taking back the majority. Nothing can stop the American people from continuing our march toward a more perfect union. Nothing can stop us.
Notice how he doesn't say the first female president.
God bless you. God bless Kamala Harris.
This is what this is one of the best parts of what she's decided to do. It's a little egoless, which I'm appreciative of, and politicians don't tend to be like that. But she's also just smart about it.
Yeah, but this Jeffries was speaking specifically to women in that address. He was speaking to, I think, a couple of different cohorts of women, but talking about Donald Trump as like that creepy boyfriend who won't go away. He citing scripture. I think that sort of drawing on a black, I don't know if this is Baptist faith. I'm not sophisticated enough to know, but that clearly was aimed at a cohort that I think is like, they're
playing a North Carolina, I guess. Well, they opened with North Carolina.
There's Guy Weldon.
Oh yeah. I'm not sure if they moved to a different state, but I think they do.
That did feel like trying to target African American women and getting them. I think there was. You're obviously like targeting women more broadly when you're talking about Donald Trump as a creepy ex-boyfriend. But I suspect, and again, I'm not well steeped in this, that Monday, Tuesday, and citing that Psalm was something I think probably from, again, I don't know, but my suspicion is from
the South.
Well, the South, but also Black Christian churches. And this is, you're hitting a couple of different of the quadrants that you need, and juxtapose this against the Republican.
Bridges, airports again. That's a fact. And we have healthcare.
Yeah, I'm curious about this because this is aimed at workers. That's the only reason I'm.
Kamala's goal is to rebuild the middle class for families like mine.
As far as topic choices for Hakeem Jeffries' speech, A+.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh, here's Bill Clinton. Here's the thing.
I need a drink.
They're trying to hit women tonight. And Bill Clinton,
Bill Clinton knows how to hit it.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sorry.
Cuts both ways with Clinton these days. But maybe it's a different generation of women.
For me, I wouldn't even want to be alone in a room with that dude.
That's what I'm saying. I think women under 40, under 45, Bill Clinton is that guy who's driving around the neighborhood.
With Epstein,
women over the age of 50.
I know. Yeah. I hear you.
It was up to me. I'd never see him again.
What sucks is that they can't go out. Oh my God, he's coming out to Coldplay.
There was a Politico story about how people want Bill Clinton back, and it basically cited Newt Gingrich and one other like anachronistic person. I don't know.
He's the worst out of Biden, and Obama, Clinton, right? Sam, we were discussing this today. Worst president.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
And I am very grateful to the Republicans and independents that have joined us, have been up here on the stage.
I had a conversation tonight actually with somebody who just gave me that drink. That we both, I mean, I felt this like 10, 12 years ago, but George Herbert Walker Bush would have been better where we are today had he won that election. But I can go into that later.
I love seeing President Biden. And I thought Hillary gave a great speech, too. And,
I'd like to dedicate this to Jeffrey.
But I love seeing all these young leaders. A bunch of them are coming up after me.
Almost thought he said young ladies. I'm sorry, I'm stopping.
And they'll be exciting.
This club random?
I do want to say one word about President Biden.
Have you guys heard about that hawk to a girl? She hawks to it and spits on that thing.
We're going to win Tennessee.
Jesus. What's going on there since I've gone? Jesus.
We got the Candace Owens prescription.
He healed our sick and put the rest of us back to work.
Somebody put something in Emma's Chardonnay. What is it? The Fumé Blanc?
Excuse me. It's New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc, okay? It's my drink of choice.
Set up for Ukraine. Trying desperately to get a ceasefire.
It's cheap. Oh.
Desperately. I'm desperate. I'm so desperate.
Ceaselessly tiresome.
And then he did something that's really hard for a politician to do. He voluntarily gave up political power. And
voluntary is a funny word. The way libertarians use it.
George Washington knew that, and he did it. And he set the standard for us serving 2 terms before it was mandatory. It helped his legacy, and it will enhance Joe Biden's legacy. And
that's a creepy, that's something you tell like the Hill, but you don't make that speech.
Yeah.
To what goes on in the other party. So I want to thank him for his courage, compassion, his class, his service, his sacrifice.
And don't thank him for stepping down. Thank him for what he did, you douche.
Joe Biden. Thank you. And
are they cheering Yankees suck? Or is that just
Yankees
like
suck.
Yeah, okay.
He kept the faith.
Thank you, Joe.
I know.
Infected a lot
Fuck.
of the rest of
Sounded
us.
like Yankees suck.
Now let's cut to the chase. I am too old to gild the lily. 2 days ago, I turned 78, the oldest man in my family of 4 generations.
Still
There's
younger
so much
than
I would
Biden.
love to know about being a 21-year-old girl.
And the only personal vanity I want to assert is I'm still younger than Donald Trump. Last night, in what I thought was a very moving series of episodes, we nominated Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And
wasn't that 2 nights ago?
just think about that. 2 leaders.
Last night was like the big votes or whatever.
Oh, I guess it was last night. You know, I still think the highlight of this convention so far for me is how the convention utterly put a stake in Kathy Hochul's political future. Like I the only thing that people have said to me about the convention so far is, man, I realize how bad Hochul is.
Yeah, right. How she's a charisma suck.
It's unbelievable. It's hurting Bill Clinton's speech.
About himself.
He cares about
Secondly,
no
the Constitution
body,
says we, the people, get to do the hiring.
not himself.
Take it from a New Yorker. I'm sick of this guy.
For years, we get to change the requirements for the job. So here's what I'm thinking.
Guess who's rusty?
As I try to apply this in
Yeah, this ain't 2012
will
anymore.
this president
No.
take us backward or forward?
His whole speech seems like a preamble to his speech.
Will this president give our kids a brighter future? Depends. Will this president bring us
Like the
together
audience
or
is like 5 minutes ahead of him already.
will the president
Yeah, I know.
He's like,
they're
have to say,
anticipating.
wait, guys. I haven't gotten there yet.
that we enjoy and extend it to others as we can?
We got to read this Politico
We,
story
the
after this
people.
because it just even seems even much more ridiculous.
We have to
It's
make a
so
decision
clear.
about these
It's
kind of
fascinating to
questions.
see the egos of these
And
guys
every
who are
4
like
years, it's a little
sending
different
out their flax
because
to have a Politico
the
story
people
saying,
come
we
up
got to
with
put
candidates,
Bill Clinton on the
come up
trail.
with candidates.
Because
And
he
they
wants to
say,
go
as
out
they're
and
saying
like
now,
get the juices
here are
going.
our
He is
problems.
bored.
So
It's because
sitting
this is
in-
just for them to like
are
air
our
what they
opportunities.
want to brand
Seize
themselves
them.
as without any politics
Here are
behind
our
it. They're
fears.
done in politics, so it's just
ease
about. I mean, Hillary, same thing.
Here
Like
are
comparing
our
herself to Shirley Chisholm is a joke.
help them.
100%.
true.
I mean,
I should be
I-
on Mount
you know-
Rushmore, actually.
I mean, listen, 10 years from now,
A president
I will
can
be
answer
at least
that
semi-retired, and you guys are going to be like,
call by
oh,
saying,
Sam's
I'll do
fucking
my part,
texting
but
me
you have to
again
help
because
me.
he
We
wants
have
to
to
come
work
on
together.
tomorrow because he's got some idea about some fucking thing, and it's you guys are just going to be like, hey, Jesus.
dodge
And
to be
The Rumble
I'm gonna be-
exclusive.
by dividing, distracting, and diverting us.
Exactly. Matt's going to go like, hey, we got a slot on this new on Kick. Do you want to like? Can I send you the Kick app? And
You have to shoot it in vertical video, though.
I mean, that's what's going on here.
Did we forget to make that Vimeo video public? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. Geez, no,
No, it's live. We put it live. We definitely published that.
He's about me,
You're gonna be
myself,
like,
and I.
Patrick really screwed up. He's our new producer who.
I just wanted to make sure I heard Bill Clinton right. He was bragging about being younger than Trump at 78.
It's
like-
Yeah.
opportunities, ease our fears.
Do you not understand? Like, okay, fine, I guess, but you know.
No, he wants to remind people that Trump is old.
I know.
That's the most effective thing he's done.
Yeah.
Look at me. He's older than me. Can you believe that? And just stare into the camera.
Yeah.
When she was young, she worked at McDonald's,
I'm listening.
and she greeted
I
every
love
person with that
McDonald's.
1,000-watt smile.
That's
and
how I
said,
pretended
"How can I help
I
you?"
gave a shit about people.
Now she's at the pinnacle of power, and
That's the thing. He would, the big story, the leaks were that he was sneaking out to get McDonald's. And then he would just talk to the people at McDonald's. That was in the 93 campaign. That was the big thing about Bill Clinton.
when she actually enters the White House as president,
They've tried to emphasize that
she will
she worked at
break my
McDonald's.
record as the president
In her ads.
who spent the most time at McDonald's.
People
Yeah,
are
there you
saying
go.
that
He
she's the
says.
Matt Leck of.
Yeah. I mean, I do go to McDonald's after runs.
Well, Clinton just said that he goes to McDonald's or went to McDonald's.
Not more than Trump. I mean, nobody's believed him that.
We've got a guy that's
We have
pretty good
photographic
at it.
evidence.
What
He would
does
He's a
send
vegetarian now,
crispy.
too.
has been a paragon of consistency. He's still dividing, he's still blaming, he's still belittling other people. He creates chaos, and then he sort of curates it as if it were precious art. Let me say,
Okay.
not a single day goes by, even though I've been gone for well over 23 years from the White House, not a day goes by that I don't thank the Lord for the chance I had to serve and what it meant. And
Thanks, Grandpa.
one of the reasons, thank you. Wait. One of the reasons I love the job so much
it's a real feature of
is
the
that
Clintons.
in the toughest times, even on the darkest days, if you tried hard enough, there was always something good you could do for somebody else. Now, some days that's not easy to do. You've got to deal with all these emergencies, or there's something going on here, there, or yonder, but Kamala Harris is the only candidate in this race who has the vision, the experience, the temperament, the will, and yes, the sheer joy to get something done. I mean, look, what does her opponent do with his voice? He mostly talks about himself, right?
Sort of like I've done for most of the speech, actually.
Hear him, don't count the lies. Count the eyes.
Let's go back and run that program with Hillary's speech, too.
Vendettas, his vengeance, his complaints, his conspiracies. He's like one of those tenors opening up before he walks out on stage, like I did, trying to get his lungs open by singing me, 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 me.
You just talked about yourself the entire time. There was a report that he, quote, ripped up his speech on Monday. So
Kamala Harris
I don't know what that means.
I feel like they did that in 2012 too.
We'll begin with you.
Lowering expectations? I don't know.
It was a good speech back then, if I remember it.
Yeah.
In that Politico piece, they did say that sources said that he was like severely diminished relative to like 2012.
Well, he's got fewer transportation options these days.
Do you want to build a strong economy from the bottom up and the middle out?
Trump has it all rented out.
Or do you want to spend the next 4 years talking about crowd size?
You know what? You know where he's rusty is he's not looking at the camera.
I triple checked it. Since the end of the Cold War,
It's like the teleprompter's not loaded up. He's all in his desk.
Yeah.
I'm serious.
No, I know. You know what? I actually rewatched, because I'm a psycho, Biden's 2016 DNC speech recently.
I swear I checked this 3 times. Even I couldn't
You know,
believe it.
whatever. But Biden looked old there too. But that was when his like whole yelling, "This is America" patriotism thing was
Get off
less
my lawn.
old man, get off my lawn, and more, you know, let's do this
Tough
thing.
guy. Yeah.
Yeah, right. And I think Bill Clinton had a swagger that's diminished a little bit.
I'm glad that we got a championship-winning coach on our team.
Assistant coach.
It's incredible, the lies.
I know.
I just love the
Fact
idea
check.
of Matt Walsh, like genuinely wondering, is it a defensive coordinator? Is that a football coach?
Limited of us and what we know about football or any other sport knows that if you're got 50 and the other side's got 1, you're ahead.
Ooh, Jesus, look how much his hand is shaking.
What about affordable housing? It's a terrible problem in America now. We need more. And affordable
It's like he's not doing the teleprompter. He's doing from paper only.
But maybe that's what they were saying. Maybe he did actually change his speech. I don't know.
Well, he could change it on Monday, but getting the teleprompter takes about 5 minutes. Maybe he's just rusty from reading a teleprompter.
But he pivoted from to housing so abruptly right there.
I can't even hear. We should turn it up a little.
We need still to strengthen our alliances.
In housing.
I almost croaked in the first debate of this election season when President Trump said nobody respected America anymore like they did when he was president. Wait. And with a straight face. Look, you got to give him. He's a good actor. With a straight face, he cited as evidence of the respect that existed for us when he was there, the presidents of North Korea and Russia. I'd rather have.
There's Doug, my guy.
Respect us now. And
I don't know why I like Doug Emhoff. I think it's because he's from New Jersey, but I just like something about him.
One of the things is when you send a signal to the other countries, you want them to know whether they agree with you or not, at least that you're on the level. Here's where you are and what you believe. What are they supposed to make?
This sucks, by the way.
Endless tributes to the late, great Hannibal Lecter.
Okay, maybe he's starting to cook.
But look up. Look at the audience. Look at the TV audience. This is not for the people there. He's just talking to the people in the front row.
Explainer in chief. Folks, I've thought
He's
about
rusty.
it, and I don't know what to say.
He's used to doing
smaller venues,
$250,000 paid
fundraisers.
speeches,
Like
where not fundraisers, fundraisers for himself, where he's just addressing the room, he's working the room, but he's forgotten that this is about the audience at home.
To get up day after day after day after day.
That's exactly right.
This is,
meaningless hot rhetoric.
you know, my critique is not even, this is not political, obviously. This is just performance-wise. And
I want that.
But all of this is
that's the America
theoretically for the audience at home. And he's got to play to that audience.
She's already made her first presidential decision.
He's trying to, you know, make love to everybody in the audience in the building. That was his big thing. Like the big thing with Bill Clinton was that he'd come shake your hand and for a second you'd feel like you're the only person in the world. And that was his big superpower. But he's forgotten that he's now supposed to do this on TV.
Arkansas, you do not have to be all broke out with brilliance. You just look at Tim Walz, listen to him, follow his record as a teacher, as a coach in the National Guard, as a congressman, where he was the only Democrat, save one, elected in that district in more than 100 years. And he stayed a long time. And then he became a great governor. And by all accounts, he was a crack shot who had the courage among his rural constituents to say, we do not need these assault weapons available to people who can kill our kids in school. with her first decision, Kamala Harris confronts an interesting dilemma. We're going to walk out of here feeling pretty good, I think.
We're going to have a party.
We got energy, we are happy, we feel like a load's off our shoulders. And we know we're just being asked to fight the same fight that the forces of progress have had to fight for 250 years. In the face of stiff and often violent opposition,
Yashar Ali is
find a way to go forward together.
tweeting, I'm told the teleprompter's down right now during Bill Clinton's speech. Hence the looking down at his speech.
Right.
Well, that would explain that.
Ain't helping him at all.
That's a good thing.
No.
Well,
how could we possibly lose? Kamala Harris has fought for kids their whole
Sucks
life
for
and
him.
left out and left behind.
Karma.
I wonder.
Gangs trafficking across the
Or
board.
maybe somebody did it
you
on
finally
purpose.
She's fought to
got
protect
him
the
back.
rights of
What'd you say?
homeowners.
Sorry.
Somebody could be doing it on
Leader in
purpose.
the fight
Exactly.
for reproductive freedoms, and we know a majority of the American people are with us on that. And she's gained an invaluable amount of experience as vice president, advancing our values and interests around the world. She's already said she's going to work really hard to make sure that no American working full-time lives in poverty or has to worry about their children living in poverty.
I like a mention of poverty as opposed to just middle class.
He says that we got to make home ownership an achievable dream for everyone, not just a privilege. She said that and this meant a lot to me, that she would protect everybody's right to vote, whether or not they voted for her. They were citizens and they deserve the right to vote. The other day, her opponent implied that if his people voted one more time, they'd be able to rig it from now on and they wouldn't have to vote again. You think they're kidding, but I know a lot of these folks, and most of them are really good people, but some of them think that they are bound to dominate America politically, economically, and socially, and they have to use politics to do it, and they should rig the system.
Oh, geez. I get this is
and
impressively.
So here's what I want to tell you. We've seen more than one election slip away from us when we thought it couldn't happen. When people got distracted by phony issues.
This would have been a good focus of his speech. Like these guys got to realize, come in, deliver one message, and get out. And this would have been the speech. Don't be overconfident. We've seen what happened before. Donald Trump won with 40,000 votes over 3 states, lost the popular vote. Get out, do your jobs, get out there, make sure this doesn't happen again. Because we had 3 Supreme Court justices, we had destruction of this, we had destruction of this agency, that agency. Get in there, get in, get out. I mean,
but Harris has been doing that. That's what she said last night in Milwaukee when someone yelled out, "You've already won," and she went into the whole thing saying, "No, I haven't. We have X." But that's because there's nothing in it for him, Sam. There's nothing in it except to swing his dick around or whatever and like talk. You know, I mean, so I don't care. It's like.
No, I think you're right. I think Bill Clinton is. I mean, it's just there is a quality of some of the marquee speakers who seem to be up there more for them than anything else.
Even the Obamas.
Which yes.
Yeah, like I mean, it's almost like I almost wish that we could have a Trump situation. Well, I don't agree. like where none of the former presidents showed up, but that's not true. I mean, like I do think that this has value for certain voters, but I don't know how much.
Put him earlier.
Well, I'm saying it could have had more.
Yeah, right.
Also,
I just don't think this is a good speech. This is not a good speech for Bill Clinton.
As this is going on, the word is Uncommitted movement is going to be getting a big fat goose egg from the party on this. No Palestinians speaking, no nothing. So going about it the right way didn't work. So it'd be interesting to see all the folks what their solution is now.
Ta-Nehisi Coates had a piece in Vanity Fair on this, actually. Naomi Klein quotes it. I haven't gotten to read it yet, but no Palestinian American is scheduled to address the convention from the main stage. I suspect is because of what such a speaker might feel compelled to say. That's the case.
The story of this convention. It'd be nice to be able to focus on abortion rights and the working class agenda and not be dilly-dallying about this committing a genocide. But let's listen to this old pedophile talk. Sorry.
But no.
Alleged,
yeah. But I wonder what victims of Jeffrey Epstein thought when they when he said, "Oh, guess who was on this plane before you?"
But here's what I want you to know. If you vote for this team, if you can get them elected and let them bring in this breath of fresh air.
Who's them?
You'll be proud of it for the rest of your life. Your children will be proud of it. Your grandchildren will be proud of it. Take it from a man who once had the honor to be called in this convention the man from hope. We need Kamala Harris.
You can't even say, I mean, why show up?
Lead us.
Sorry.
So,
Kamala Harris?
Yeah. We're literally hitting the Republicans right now for not being able to pronounce her name, and this dude's just like, I'm gonna stroll in.
What's it again?
Not bother.
Who? Bill Clinton? Bill Clinton.
Yeah. Well, somehow he was worse than his wife.
Yeah, that music, let's turn that down. You don't understand. That was the theme song during, I think it was the second Clinton campaign. Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow. Maybe it was the first. And I just have visions of he and Hillary dancing. Maybe it was at the convention, I think, with the balloons dropping at the end of the proceedings at the last day of the convention. It's shocking to me, frankly, that I can remember. I mean, it was 31 years ago, and I think it was so traumatic of an experience for me that I remember like it was yesterday.
That's how I feel about This Is My Fight Song, or whatever the hell.
I was at Cobb's Comedy Club in San Francisco with Mark Maron. I was shadowing him at the time in an internship that I was, I think I was getting course credit in self-flagellation and also self-aggrandizement simultaneously in following Maron around.
He's an expert in that.
Yes, that's why I was taking. That's where I got my internship. And I just remember when everybody, the results of the election came in, everybody was excited, and I just remember thinking like, I get it, but still, Bill Clinton, like he was the worst Democratic president of my lifetime, without a doubt. And you know, I wish we didn't have to go through Obama as a bridge away from that ideology, but we did. Who's this?
Pelosi.
Pelosi, yeah.
Okay, here we go.
We'll bargain with the people who like Obama still. We'll go easy on him, but we have to bury the Clintons. I'm sick of them.
Oh yeah, well, here's a real power player in the Democratic Party. I don't give a crap about those fossils. Here she is. Where's her gavel?
I hope she starts off with like, "We're here because I killed Joe Biden."
Yes, it's his funeral.
She holds up his head. Like Kathy Griffin.
On January 20th, 2021, with the inauguration of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, we established one of the most successful presidencies of modern times. And we quickly proved that Democrats deliver. Millions of jobs, stronger infrastructure and rural broadband, a Biden child tax credit, rescuing human pensions, honoring our veterans, bold climate action.
We'll have to just refresh Bradley.
Lowering the cost of prescription drugs.
See, this is better.
To President Biden.
Accomplishments right off the rip.
Is it? Are we sped up at all?
Patriotic vision of a fairer America, doing so.
Okay.
Refresh
with liberty
it.
And justice. Lowering the cost of prescription drugs, all thanks to President Biden's patriotic vision of a fairer America, doing so with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Joe. Well timed.
And I know that Vice President Harris is ready to take us.
No. All right, can we put it down to like a lower?
Why?
No, that's not
what's
it.
going on?
It's a problem. Go back just a little bit. Let it get ahead of you. And then pause it. Let it go out ahead.
Okay, pause it.
All right.
All right.
And then,
we'll just wait 10 seconds.
Yep. Go full screen then, brother. And then play it again.
Anyway, yeah, I'm actually have a little bit of respect for her in this moment because she gave a crap about the Democrats winning.
Vice President Harris is ready to take us.
I'm not sure what's going on here. Maybe we can find another.
Go to the PBS stream, not AP. It's okay.
Yeah, because we don't.
I just am just
borders anymore. Every state is now a border.
There's something up with the computer, Sam. But I'm at least
returned to Congress. He fought for our Americans' heroes as the Democratic leader of the Veterans Affairs Committee. Thank you, Tim. January 6th was a perilous moment for our democracy. Never before had a president of the United States so brazenly assaulted the
let's keep those
so gleefully
closed captions up.
They're not accurate when it's live. That's the only reason why.
Yeah,
Let us
it's still
not forget
helpful.
who assaulted democracy on January 6th. He did.
He did.
Not forget
they nailed
who
it.
Saved democracy that day. We did.
Hey, did AIPAC support anybody?
We had a Democratic House of Representatives then. We returned to the Capitol that very same night. We insisted on certifying the election results on the floors of the House and the Senate. And we demonstrated to America and to the world that American democracy prevailed. The parable of January 6th reminds us that our democracy is only as strong as the courage and commitment of those entrusted with its care. And we must choose leaders who believe in free and fair elections, who respect the peaceful transfer of power. The choice couldn't be clearer. Those leaders are Vice President Harris and Governor Walz.
Oh boy.
When the sun rose on January 7th, as our national anthem declares, we gave proof through the night that our flag was still there.
All right, well,
Jesus.
she passed on this to Hakeem Jeffries, I guess.
Now, in this election, we are called upon to do the same, to stand together, to reject autocracy, to choose democracy, and we will do so by electing a Democratic House with Hakeem Jeffries as Speaker of the House.
She really has that thing where she does this when she talks.
Electing a Democratic
it's like
Senate,
Trump's.
electing Tim Walz as Vice President of the United States.
In the 90s,
And electing
the
Kamala
communications
Harris as
people
the President of the
made
United States.
a big deal about politicians not pointing. So
Yes.
everybody is doing this. They're holding their thumbs like this, or they're finding some other way of making a point without actually pointing.
House and the
That
Senate.
was like a
And we
big
demonstrated
communications
to
thing from that era.
America and to the world that American democracy prevailed.
What?
Of January 6th reminds us that our
'cause
democracy
we're
is
playing the
only
old
as strong
stream,
as the
too.
courage and commitment of those
Bradley.
entrusted with its care.
I just honestly thought I was having a stroke just now.
So she does this, like that's her non, and
The way the classic early 90s, late 80s politician.
right, that was that. Yeah,
this.
yeah.
And
But
then
she's-
she does this just to like change it up. They're all trying to figure out some way of not pointing.
Yeah, it's
And
funny.
this-
I mean, you're right. I don't know this Harris or Walz doing that, or
No, I think like modern politicians realize like just talk like a normal person as much as you
Right.
can. Don't
Right.
don't be, politician. Oh boy. We're about to hear from Josh Shapiro and then Catherine Cortez Masto.
by far the worst night so far. Okay, I'm just saying. Like, oh, Sam froze, but
A refreshing Sam there. There we go.
by far.
Am
Can
I
we
okay
just
now?
turn this up? Yeah,
Yep.
you're better. This is definitely the worst night so far.
Important. And I know that's how she'll lead.
She'll treat everyone with respect. Even as a kid, Auntie made me feel that I was seen, that my words are important, that I
Now we
am
just need her
important
not to
and
blow a bigger
loved.
kiss to
I know she'll
like
value others'
Lizzo than to these kids.
perspectives, no matter their age or their background.
Crossed.
Auntie, we love you.
Lost Sam again.
We're
Looks like.
so proud of you.
And most importantly,
hold on, we're gonna refresh
you're a
you.
baller. And as you'd say, let's win this thing.
Let's win this thing.
So those are her nephews and niece, I guess. I mean, her family seems to like her, so that she has Trump beat on that.
Please welcome
front.
nominee for U.S. Congress in California, Latifah Simon.
For Congress, which district? I saw Harris was getting teary the other night with the California delegation going for her.
My name is Latifah Simon, and I am running for Congress.
I'd love to do like some old research into that stuff, like the fault lines, because I don't think, Harris and Pelosi's like factions were initially aligned, right? I mean, didn't Harris for Attorney General run against a Pelosi person? I think I'm vaguely remembering that. Don't take that to the bank, but it could be interesting to go back and like retrace.
She ran against another member of Congress for Senate. I'm not sure if it's the same. For Linda Sanchez was her
That's
primary
not what I'm
opponent.
thinking of.
This woman is running to replace Barbara Lee.
Beautiful young women and girls to build the self.
But isn't that a safe? Isn't that a safe district?
Yes, very. Yeah.
Like what are we doing here?
I know.
And she asked me to join her team.
they're behind on all these things. Like, let's make some hard decisions.
Yeah.
If you need to have Josh Shapiro there so he helps in Pennsylvania, fine. But honestly, like, we've got California.
I saw Kamala Harris holding the hands.
Which they did do the first night. Grace Meng, a New York Democrat, and Debbie Wasserman Schultz were both bumped, as well as James Taylor.
And James Taylor. I mean, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. It almost feels like you purposefully go long until you're like,
yes,
to get her out of here.
We
Debbie,
had to. I'm so sorry. Honestly,
our hands are tied.
we did reverse alphabetic order, and that's how we cut. And it's just like, W, honestly.
Have you ever seen Debbie Wasserman Schultz and Kathy Hochul in the same room together?
She carries it with her when she sees you.
I mean, I remember in 2016, like,
she truly sees you.
Reading and hearing from people that both Obama and Clinton hated Debbie Wasserman Schultz, but nobody wanted to exercise the political capital associated with firing her from the DNC as incompetent as she was.
Well,
and then, of course,
Sam,
came to bite them both in the ass.
You call her incompetent, but look at the amazing work that she's done for the Democrats down in Florida.
I saw her.
I'm being sarcastic. The Florida
I know,
Democratic
I
Party
know.
is for the audience. I'm not actually
real
saying that she
disaster.
did a good job.
Like those mothers, like those sexual assault survivors.
4 minutes. We know this.
When she goes into that Oval Office, when she goes into that.
Can you imagine if this was an open convention?
She will take all of us with her.
I just want to also point out that Al-Wahi, some of the other uncommitted people are beginning a sit-in outside of the convention center.
Is that happening right now?
Yep. There's no video that I'm seeing, but I see Greg Krieg of CNN is posting an image. I'll send it right now.
She will take us all with her. All of us. That is the Kamala Harris that I know so deeply. That is the Kamala Harris that I love. A woman of the people. A woman, a fierce woman for the people.
Yeah, she's auditioning for. Yeah, right. Oh, she's
Honestly,
friends with her?
let's.
Matt says he looked it up. I think
Please
she's
welcome
friends with
former US
Kamala
Associate
Harris, like
Attorney
from
General
before.
of the United States,
So that's
and
what
the
it's
Vice
for.
President's brother-in-law, Tony West.
The Uber guy?
Wait.
Is this her relative that's the Uber guy?
Yep.
5 years ago,
All right.
in my first week at law school, I met a new classmate, Maya Harris. We became best friends, but the way Kamala tells the story, we'd already fallen in love by graduation day. And when Maya
She's
and
very
I
close with her
married,
sister.
I not
Her
only
sister was
gained
part of the
a life
administration.
partner I love,
Or the
a
VP.
daughter I adore, and a mother-in-law I revered, someone I affectionately called Mother Harris. I also gained a sister I cherish, Kamala. Now, Maya, Kamala, and I each pursued different legal careers, but we were motivated by the same values: a belief in equal opportunity, a yearning for fairness,
You're playing the game called capitalism.
for justice. Values Mother Harris.
We should say this is the general counsel of Uber. I think he's on leave right now to turn him down. I honestly don't care what he has to say that much. It's all going to be problem. What's really more relevant about this guy is he is, and please spare me the a good lawyer represents any client.
Yeah.
He's of general counsel. I mean, honestly, I will, I've said this in multiple contexts, but had a bomb gone off in my bar mitzvah, there'd be very few lawyers in New York for an entire generation. The idea that this guy has been the general counsel for an enterprise who has their business model been predatory pricing, exploitation of workers, manipulation of and purposefully ignoring, and then attempting to essentially buy their way out of local statutes.
In California,
or extort those local municipalities.
Minnesota,
exactly, everywhere. I mean, their business model was to come in, ignore local statutes, and then just deal with it in litigation. And you're not capable of doing that, I think, without that you having an absence of some semblance of like civic relationship to you as a citizen. I that's what I believe. Now, who knows, the nature of a personal relationship like that, and what skills they bring to bear. I have people in my life whose advice I trust in certain areas, who I think have blinkered senses, across a wide spectrum of politics. So who knows? But that's why this guy is problematic for people. That's why he creates concern. That's why, in that conversation David Dayen and I had yesterday, or today, I should say, on the show, Harris is a jump ball. And on one side of that jump ball is this guy.
And Walz, one of the few blemishes on his record as governor is giving into the Uber and rideshare lobby.
Yep. I mean, and it's not just, and we should just be clear. It's not just this narrow sector of ride shares, right? Like, I mean, if I had to trade single payer healthcare for the rideshare industry to be basically the Wild West, okay.
I want to watch this. Can we just watch how they portray her prosecutorial record? Yeah.
To a series of mortgage scams, fraud, and unfair business practices.
In order to get meaningful relief, we had to sue the banks and see through a lengthy litigation process.
When Kamala was sitting at the table negotiating, it wasn't just about the money. It was about real people. I vividly remember her thinking about Mommy, who could finally afford to buy her first home, and how proud Mommy was. So Kamala knew what was at stake for families and even whole communities.
We are very proud to announce a
Don't Google
tremendous victory for
Mnuchin,
California.
Harris.
She truly believes that every single person, every American is worthy of the promise and the prosperity of this country. And every time Kamala has run
For-profit
for
college stuff
a
was
bigger
good.
office, it's because she believes that she can have a bigger impact.
We are making a commitment tonight with this celebration of this Senate race to bring our country together.
In the Senate, to get a position on the Intelligence Committee is very coveted because it is about protecting our nation's security. And Kamala hit the ground running. She would not let a witness off easily.
Did you have any communications with Russian officials for any reason during the
well,
campaign that have not been disclosed?
Let's just be happy she was only on this committee for what, like 2 years?
I need to be correct the best I can.
I do want you to be
and
honest.
I'm not able to be rushed this fast. It makes me nervous.
The questioning of Attorney General Sessions was historic, and she earned the respect of colleagues on both sides of the aisle.
Kamala, as a senator, was a truth teller. She was there to expose what some of these guys were. And
She
what
sounds
they
like her
intended to do.
Can you think of any laws that give government the power to make decisions about the male body?
I'm not thinking of any right now, Senator.
They didn't know what hit them. And in those moments, so many people saw her for the first time and saw how tough she was.
Would you accept them recommending a charging decision to you if they had not reviewed the evidence?
Well, that's a question for Bob Mueller. He's the U.S. attorney.
I think you've made it clear, sir, that you've not looked at the evidence, and we can move on.
When she's on a mission, she is determined and relentless.
When our fundamental values are being attacked, do we retreat or do we fight? I say we fight.
If you want to go forward in this country, not go backward, then there is only one choice.
All right, well, that was
Please
less
welcome
substantive
Nevada
than I
Senator
wanted it to
Catherine
be.
Cortez Masto.
Well, it's good they're giving Cortez Masto a speaking slot because they need Nevada.
Hello, Chicago.
I don't think I'm going to enjoy this speech.
No,
Doubtful. She's
before I was senator,
she barely won re-election.
I was Nevada's attorney general. And that's when I met Kamala Harris, my colleague.
All right, turn her down for a second.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
we bonded
look,
over many things.
the only thing I really know about her record, Harris's record as Attorney General, and I don't know much, and I don't remember a ton of it, but we definitely talked about this 4 years ago, and even in the context of her running for Senate, she was not as aggressive as people felt she should have been in the wake of the mortgage crisis, in the financial meltdown. You can check out David Dayen's writings for this. I mean, he literally wrote a book on at least one aspect of the financial meltdown in 2008, which was the practice of mortgage issuers essentially selling their mortgages and not transferring them properly, and there being essentially a lot of fraud within the context of both mortgage issuance and mortgage purchase as on the secondary markets. And there was a lot of targets for someone who wanted to be aggressive with the banks, and particularly in California. And Harris did not pursue that as vigorously as a lot of people felt like she could have at that time.
The other side of that
actually
is
Beau Biden were actually, two of the more prominent attorney generals who were. There's a lot of questions that never really fully got answered as to who was dragging their feet in that dynamic. And
my assessment of, so she got, I think, a $4 billion settlement, which is pretty low for California. And then later she was a part of an $18 billion multi-state settlement for mortgage customers, which is larger, but still pennies on the dollar for what these banks did. And you can say it was not tough enough for sure. You could also say what my assessment of her has always been is that she's basically somebody who's going to go largely where the party is, be better on some things, be worse on some other things, but even more than a guy like Biden. She's a more modern, I think more constitutionally liberal person who will see how it goes. But there was broad failures across the Democratic Party as it relates.
I mean, and you could definitely argue that there was a reluctance by AGs to get further out ahead than the Department of Justice. All right, let's listen to Shapiro only to watch Emma.
I'm going to get another drink.
Steve.
I'll be right back. I'm sure. All right, I don't want.
Shapiro's great. Crank him up in the studio.
The open one, and then I'll
2.5 centuries ago in Philadelphia, A band of patriots declare their independence.
That's what it
from a
means to
king
be a mighty man of valor.
and set ourselves on a path of self-determination. Generation after generation has embraced that responsibility. Ordinary Americans rising up, demanding more, seeking justice. And in every chapter of our American story, we've made progress and advanced the cause of freedom.
Every
Today-
chapter? There's some
Well,
chapters
today
we
we
didn't do
find
that, but
ourselves writing that next chapter. Will we be a nation defined by
They're
chaos
long chapters,
and
Matt.
extremism? Or will we choose a path of decency,
Sasha and Malia?
honor, and continued progress?
These are chapters he's pulled
Kamala Harris,
from other sources.
well, she has spent her entire career making progress. Donald Trump, a man with no guardrails, wants to take away our rights and our freedoms. And listen, while he cloaks himself in the blanket of freedom, what he's offering isn't freedom at all. Because hear me on this,
Cozy under his
it's
blanket
not
of freedom.
freedom to tell our children what books they're allowed to read. No, it's not. And
Or
it's
who you
not
can boycott.
freedom to tell women what they can do with their bodies.
Where you make ice cream.
And hear me on this, it sure as hell isn't freedom to say you can go vote, but he gets to pick the winner. That's not freedom.
I gotta say,
You know what?
I've never
You know what, Democrats?
seen that much of Shapiro,
We are the party
and
of real freedom.
uniquely
That's right.
is both
The kind of real freedom
animated
that comes when that
and
child has a great
expressive
public school
and
with an awesome
incredibly
teacher
generic
because
simultaneously.
we believe in her future.
Did he just say
But there
public
is-
schools?
Real
Sorry.
No, no.
freedom.
Did he?
Real freedom that comes
just said something
when we
about
invest in the police and in the community so that child can walk to and from
But,
school
Sam, he's doing
and get home
Obama.
safely to her mama.
But Ossoff does Obama much better.
Real
I
freedom.
mean-
Real freedom that comes when she can join a union, marry who she loves, start a family on her own terms, breathe clean air, drink pure water, worship how she wants, and live a life of purpose where she is respected for who she is.
Except for that staffer that I helped.
Real freedom.
Whatever.
Real freedom that comes when she can look at Madam President and know that this is a nation where anything and everything is possible. That is real freedom, and that is what we are fighting for.
He did tone down Obama a little bit. Like, I think it got to him, people talking about that, but I don't think she's gonna make him attorney general. That would be insane. I think it's yeah.
No,
But it's your
she's
rights.
not. There's a quality about him
It's our
where what he's
future and
saying
freedom
could be said
that
by
are on the line.
anybody.
And you have the power
Like,
to shape the future of this country.
you could deliver this
Just
speech,
like our
I could deliver this
ancestors, our
speech,
ancestors
maybe
who
not in the
fought
exact
for
same way,
freedom on the
but it would
battlefield
fit
and
just as well
sat
for us.
in
It's
at
so
lunch counters so our
generic.
kids could stand up.
It's just a very generic quality to him.
Now it's on us. It's on us, my friends, to organize in our communities and on our For You pages around three basic American principles. We value
For
our
you
freedom.
pages? What's that?
We cherish our
On
democracy.
TikTok and
we
Instagram.
love this country.
Wait, he just said that?
And listen,
He said on our For You pages too. You know what I saw on my For You page was a Palestinian kid in pretty bad, rough shape. But anyway.
There's barely any head left.
we
Yep.
love this country.
This is the convention
And
of
listen,
interest.
Despite our challenges, hear me on this. I want you to know I have never been more hopeful because I see in all of you the enduring promise
turn him down.
of America.
I mean, here, that I mean, just as a as a speech. Like he says, I've never been more hopeful. We don't know who he is. Like
I know.
what? It has no stakes for us. He has not laid the predicate down. He thinks he has, but he hasn't. He thinks people know who he is more than people know who he is. I can tell you that even people in our audience who represent the narrowest of narrow band of people
to secure our freedoms?
don't really have any sense of
democracy.
where any of this is coming from.
Are you ready to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz? America, let's get to work.
Not you, apparently. Couldn't make it out to the Pennsylvania rallies.
Bit busy talking to the New York Post.
Emma reminds me I'm reading Game of Thrones with Saul. You're like Joffrey.
That is the meanest thing you've ever said to me. What is right? Like, I'm a sadist?
No, but well, it's like
I like to think of myself.
He's
more
defeated,
as
and you're like,
a
actually,
Marjorie.
no. Let's put him up on the spike. Actually, let's tar him and then put him up on the spike.
And leave him up there so he rots in front of everybody so they know not to mess with us this time around. That just came
Let's
very
rub
natural.
peanut butter on his face so the ravens
But I do
come.
it for the righteous cause.
Yes, you're better. You have a better internal compass.
You
than
have better
Joffrey.
ideology than
Yes.
Joffrey.
Yes. Thank you.
Or you're like Arya Stark. You're like,
No, I
Shapiro's like, where are my sons?
No, I'm more sadistic than that.
Who are we talking over right now?
This is Amanda Gorman, poet.
How old is she?
Do you remember her from the inauguration? She read the poem. at
This is the one that
inauguration?
conservatives got upset about her
Oh.
poem because it mentioned diversity or something.
She's so. Is she? I don't- is she
of liberty. But
She's in her
our
20s. Okay, I
for
thought she
one
looks. I thought she was younger. Okay, 26.
Oh boy.
This is loud in our country's
Definitely the worst
call
night.
because
Definitely,
while
definitely.
We all love freedom.
Like,
it is love.
Night one had Sean Fain AOC. Hillary Clinton was annoying, but at least entertaining. James Clyburn. Jasmine Crockett had a good speech. That was the first night. And then Biden, which we were all waiting for. Then last night, or yesterday, they had the roll call thing with Lil Jon, which was funny. Bernie spoke, Doug Emhoff, and then both the Obamas. Tonight's by far the worst night so far.
Can we fast forward this to Walz? Can you guys in the studio fast forward this?
I'm sorry, I don't know if we have that technology.
They should have done it as an on-demand thing.
Make no mistake, cohering is the hardest
Put this over on Peacock.
history ever wrote. But tomorrow is not written by our odds of hardship, but by the audacity of our hope, by the vitality of our vote. Only now, approaching this rare air, are we aware that perhaps the American dream is no dream at all, but instead a dare to dream together. Like a million roots tethered, branching up humbly, making one tree. This is our country from many, one from battles won, our freedoms sung, our kingdom come has just begun. We redeem this sacred scene, ready for our journey.
Can we mute this for a sec? Just because I want to. Can we put up the?
We have no appreciation for poetry on this show. I just want to make that clear. Like nobody here.
I like
it.
poetry. I read poetry. I read John Milton. I like Shakespeare. I think poets that are picked by either major party in the United States are probably don't have a lot to offer, frankly. I'm sorry to her, but I'm not going to wait in line for the next drop. But here's the sit-in, which is frankly much more important. If she can work in Gaza into the poem, I'll listen again.
Well, I remember Rafat, who was the poet, right? Who wrote "If I Must Die," Let It Be a Tale. Yeah, who Barry
That'd be a
Weiss.
good poem to read.
Yep. This is one of the uncommitted leaders, Abbas Al-Wahi. He's doing a sit-in, I think, in front of the convention until his demands are met. And then he also tweeted this: "No is not an acceptable answer. Please reconsider. We're being extremely reasonable. I am waiting for the call from the vice president's team. I can't go anywhere until the vice president agrees to have a Palestinian American speak from the stage. I'm waiting for the call." I think that's a really powerful image, to be honest. Like, I mean,
and the answer is no.
They're not. I would not be. I mean, the Democrats don't want to highlight a weakness for themselves. That's what they're thinking, but it's wrong.
It's the convention of interest.
Yeah.
Who do you have on tomorrow?
We are having one of the uncommitted delegates on tomorrow. Daniel Denver. I was.
He tweeted out, I think, that that Carter's grandson was walking by him, saw he had a keffiyeh on, and gave him a fist bump. I mean, that is. I mean, I mentioned that only because I think that's indicative of what's going on there. I mean, you have certainly a large majority of Democrats want, at the very least, military aid conditioned upon Israel's behavior. They want the Leahy law enforced. And that's the thing that's so sort of like frustrating, I think, for people, that there's a pressing issue where you have overwhelming Democratic support. There's no indication that this is going to be, you can't even hide behind the shield of it being politically expedient. I don't think they're doing enough. And as a moral matter, as an electoral matter, I don't know. And I think that's probably what their calculation is that they can, that the level of intensity or the depth or the breadth of intensity for this issue is not enough to keep people from voting for Harris at this point in terms of like the polling. What they're going to do once they become, if Harris wins, I don't think that's necessarily indicative of what they're doing now, but certainly is indicative of like what they're willing to risk and the moral imperative that they see with it.
Well, I mean, it's also just, do you want to go into your presidency with if she's able to win, without making just baseline humanitarian assurances to a core constituency of your party? And I don't know how she can do that. I've already said that I think that there are issues that, because of her role as vice president, that are unique to her, but it's still insufficient. And I mean, how can you not see the bravery of these uncommitted activists and like these people going through so much pain?
And assault that's being investigated by the police against one of them because they got bashed on the head by somebody down from Pritzker. It'd be nice for some guys like that to start taking a little bit, like, see, maybe this is affecting me. Maybe all this this stuff that Pritzker gets where it's like, oh, he's kind of a meme candidate. We all love him because he's progressive. You were right next to somebody who got bashed on the head. Maybe speak out about it. But instead, I guess we'll just let the New York City or the Chicago cops do it. But Bronco Marchtich also tweeted this out. Just ran into Ro Khanna, who told me that VP Harris should pivot on the war in Gaza like Hubert Humphrey in 1968. Seems like sound advice, in my opinion. So I hope Ro Khanna, it'd be nice to reiterate that a few more times.
Yeah. I mean, that's Greg Krieg of CNN tweeting that. So it's not just... I wish, the frickin' cable news would actually cover this as opposed to just their hired reporters on Twitter or in articles, but it's all about the drama or the pageantry.
Nicola, we should be
People say-
clear though.
I'm sorry. Like this, people just say that she can't go against the president. Hubert Humphrey went against the president. Why can't she go against the president?
Well, I mean, I've told you that I think there's probably concerns about having Netanyahu draw the Democrats into a quagmire where he's clearly coordinating with Trump behind the scenes. I mean, that's a real consideration. I mean,
same thing could have been said about the Vietnamese. Like, I don't know.
I don't know if the
Which
same
is what
thing
they
could
did,
have
frankly,
been said
because
about that.
Nixon in '68 probably didn't. He probably didn't need to tell them not to take the deal. But anyway.
No, I want her to say something. I'm just saying.
I just don't get why it's reiterated. So, like, I don't know.
It's just not uniquely the same circumstances as '68 in that same way. This is like okay, it's Oprah.
Oh, another billionaire. Good.
G Bean on the IM, Jewish centrist Obama feels like a bad Michael Brooks bit that never made it off the cutting room floor.
Good evening, everybody! Who says you can't go home again?
Oh, right.
After watching
I guess she
the
did do the
Obamas
show out of
last
Chicago,
night,
right?
That was
Oprah
some
show.
epic fire, wasn't it? Some epic fire. We're now so fired up, we can't wait to leave here and do something.
Well, we still have Wes Moore, Pete Buttigieg, Klobuchar, and Tim Walz.
Kamala Harris as the next president of
Minimum.
the United States.
Then probably like 8 other people who we've never heard of.
I am so honored to have been asked to speak on tonight's theme about what matters most to me, to you, and all of us Americans.
Oh, tonight's
Free
What's Matter
access?
Most to Oprah.
There are people
Cozy
who want you
sweaters.
to see our country as
Actually,
a nation of
A
us
good
against
book
them.
for the beach.
People who want to scare you.
I gotta say, I did bring my Cozy Earth sweatshirt.
People who'd have you believe
It's the most versatile.
It's one of her favorite
clothing
things, is it not?
Do people even know who Oprah is anymore?
I mean,
There's a
the people.
right way to
Yeah.
worship
I
and
mean,
a
Christ.
wrong way to love. People who seek first to divide.
Same
People who are
Don't stop
watching
thinking about
this.
tomorrow. If Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow is on your exercise playlist, yeah, you probably
When
really
we
love Oprah
stand
Winfrey.
Together, it is impossible to conquer us. In the words of an
It's just
extraordinary
unconscionable that they
American,
gave
the late
that hostage
Congressman
family a
John
speaking
Lewis,
slot, and they didn't. Just if you're not gonna give a Palestinian or an uncommitted person a speaking slot, don't give them
in the
one.
Same boat now.
I just.
Congressman Lewis knew very well
It's evil.
how far this country has come because he was one of the brilliant Americans who helped to get us where we are. But he also knew that the work is not done. The work will never be done because freedom isn't free. America is an ongoing
Shout out to
project. It
Francesca
requires
Fiorentini, who's
commitment.
watching us live,
It requires being open to the
texting me
hard
about
work
it.
and the heart work of democracy. And every now
I
and
sort of
then,
feel like I would have put everybody on a 5-minute
standing up
clock.
to life's bullies.
3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oprah might be like, I get a few more extra minutes with
I
this
know
check
this.
I'm about to write.
I've lived in Mississippi, in Tennessee, in Wisconsin, Maryland, Indiana, Florida, Hawaii, Colorado, California, and
Forget the last one?
California.
Chicago?
The places she has houses?
Chicago, Illinois.
There we go. Shout out.
Chicago is not a state, incidentally.
I have actually traveled this country from the redwood forest.
I'm getting
of those
eczema
redwoods
on my ankles from
to
this
the
now.
Gulf
I think
Stream
we need to.
waters.
I mean, I think she's
Do we hit the
broadly
fast forward button?
inoffensive.
And sexism
Like, as billionaires
No, it's
go,
fine.
I don't
division.
care.
I've
But
not only seen it, at times I've been on the receiving
But it's just
end
like
of it.
sometimes
But
less is
more
more.
often than not,
Yeah, we've had a lot of fucking celebrities, like a lot.
Both conservative and liberal, who may not agree with each other.
Oh yeah, let's have a
but
billionaire
who'd
talk
still
about
help
unity.
you in a heartbeat if you were in trouble.
This is like
These are the people.
the Emmys figured out at one point, like,
to say that I am
we're gonna have to do
American.
some of the Emmys not on air.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna do the highlights of the Emmys on
They
air.
are
We'll
the
do the
best
other
of
Emmys
America.
during the day,
And despite
and
what
we'll
some would
release
have
the
you
video.
think,
But I'm sorry
we
about
are not
like
so different
you
from
know
our neighbors.
scoring
When a house is
you
on
know
fire, we don't ask about the homeowner's race.
a narrative half hour is we're gonna do that during the
wonder
daytime.
But maybe she's gonna be like, tell all the people at the DNC to look under their
do
seats.
the best we can to
And
save them. And
they'll
if the
find,
place
I don't know,
happens to belong
a social
to
security number to
childless
give
cat
to
lady,
an illegal immigrant to vote for Democrats.
Look under your seat. There's a fake registration document
Well,
and the address of a drop box near you.
You get a ballot. You get a ballot.
because we are a country of people who work hard for the money. We wish our brothers and sisters well, and we pray for peace. We know all the old tricks and tropes that are designed to distract us from what actually matters, but we are beyond ridiculous tweets and lies and
what is this
foolery.
even talking about?
These are
The key is to never actually articulate what actually matters so that everybody can go and say like, oh yeah, that is what actually matters to me.
welcome those
If
conversations.
you never actually mention it,
Civilized
it can be
debate
just about
is
anything.
vital to democracy, and it is the best of America. Now, over the last couple of nights, we have all seen brave people walk onto the stage and share their most private pain. Amanda
Can we do
and
the
Josh,
clip of
Hadley, they told
Mike
us their
Lindell
stories
shaving
of
his mustache?
incest.
I'm actually more interested in that. Let's cut away to this. I mean, I you know, with all due respect, if,
I mean,
if
what's the money
you're-
for? I don't think any's due. She's paid.
if you're upset about us cutting away from Oprah, I'm surprised you've actually watched this show for as long as you have.
Yeah, can you fill out a
Period.
survey because we got questions.
I mean, she's great, and I love her, and she's wonderful, and
Everyone knows Sam's always saying how much he loves Oprah.
This is what I was trying to get Emma to do about Taylor Swift earlier in the year. Just say you like her because that's a huge, easy fan base.
Yeah.
Just because
Another
great. She's great. I love
Actually, a
her.
more offensive billionaire than Oprah. Anyway,
But I really do think that
I can't do it.
If Oprah was here now, she'd want us to talk about how the My Pillow CEO Mike Lindell apparently went to the DNC, but had to disguise himself first. And so he decided to shave his mustache. Can we do we have a picture first of Matt Walsh? Can you find a picture of Matt Walsh has apparently disguised himself so he can walk amongst the DNC? It's a real
We
clever
have
disguise.
a live footage of it from up above. Here's Matt Walsh in a hat. He's dressed in Kamala gear. This is zooming in. You can see him
that's
there.
him with the red hat. There he is.
They're gonna cut back. There he is. Oh, how funny.
Oh.
Is this hair really that long for a ponytail? Wow.
No, he's wearing.
He's got a
the
wig
one
on.
wig
He's
he
got a wig
has.
on. He's a wig.
Ponytail wig.
He's been photographed in this wig before. Republicans, men, Crowder, I include in this, love dressing up in long, luscious wigs.
Well, you know what's sort of like, I think, bizarre about this? I mean, I went and crashed the RNC in 2004, but I just dressed like I was dressing at the time, which was, a bow tie and a sport jacket. I didn't have a wig or, get a special hairdo. But
The bow tie
here's
was
my-
just how you were dressing at the time, or was that a Tucker Carlson dig?
Well, it was a joke that I was trying to confuse people, but it wasn't just for the RNC.
Yeah.
RNC took place in like August. I had been doing this since April to confuse people when I did cable TV hits, so they could say, because I sort of looked like Tucker at the time. We were both a little bit, plumper, and I wanted people to go like, what happened with that guy he had glasses too, I think, at that time. What happened with that guy with the bow tie? Because that was the only way that people remembered him. He was the bow tie guy. And I figured I could confuse people. So it wasn't really to like be incognito at the convention, but they really love to cosplay. Here's Mike Lindell taking us behind the veil to watch him shave his mustache. This is, for a lot of people, I should say, I want to say trigger warning, but really it's more like not safe for work. If you're at work and you might get titillated by this, I would be careful.
Oh, he's back. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Yep.
You're back. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, now we got to get the rest of the skies on. Okay. Let me see how it looks all in one thing. There. Here we go. This would be, I'll use this, the police gave me this as the last, if things get out of hand. And we'll be on me.
You're not doing
Listen
me
to
favors
them
laughing at
snicker.
that. Yeah.
There's snickers.
Pause just real quick, Bradley.
Chicago.
If you're in a room with a guy like this, you're not doing him any favors laughing at every one of his weird jokes like that. At a certain point, you got to be like, you're kind of acting strange, buddy.
All right. Well, if they're working for him, they're not in their right state of mind. So I don't know what to tell you. It's hard to give them advice.
The premise for this too is that like everybody's gonna know that Mike Lindell is trying to crash the Democratic convention, and they're all like, they've got like all sorts of like, who's on the keep Mike Lindell from like cracking the case squad.
Yeah, great prank pharma.
Yeah, just be careful. This is like, like Mission Impossible stuff. Go ahead.
We got this at a local hat place here in Chicago.
Panama Jack.
This is really about somebody who wants to be able to dress up.
You can't tell it's the guy whose name you probably wouldn't remember anyway.
On his way.
What do you guys think?
To a Havana casino in the
Ooh, hide the
1900s.
cross, Mike. They're gonna know you right away.
Pause it. Listen, I just want to make this also clear. Pause it for 1 second.
Jesus.
Oh, Jesus. It is. They are trying to disguise a lunatic, crazy guy as a lunatic, crazy guy, just a different one.
Is that one of those guys accused of shooting JFK?
This is the funniest prank I've ever seen.
They'll
I'm gonna
never
dress
know.
slightly different.
I'm like DB Cooper.
They'll never know that I'm insane if I dress like this.
I have like 3 guys with camera phones following me.
Looking good. I knew you would, baby.
Yeah.
Mwah.
This is how you spice it up,
It's all
folks.
worth it, you guys. I mean, we've got to.
Hey, do you recognize me?
We're going to go into the DNC. We're going to get going there like this. We're going to interview. We're going to get people.
Wait, can you pause it for a
Yeah,
sec?
pause real quick.
Okay, so he has a tan line on his upper lip. Right?
Hey, that happens. Look,
Well, that happens
As
with
somebody who
them.
just got rid of his stash.
But with all that said, like, what does he think he's gonna get looking like that, as opposed to going in there as Mike Lindell? Like, people go, oh, you're just a normal guy wearing sunglasses inside and a hat. And of course, I'll talk to you, but I would never talk to Mike Lindell.
Going there like this. We're going to interview. We're going to get people. I want to go find the media. I want to get to the media. So when the media is there at the DNC, then we're going to tell them about the event tomorrow here in Chicago, which is absolutely going to be the biggest event in this week.
Massage
and
chair.
one of the most important events of the year, because we're going to bring Democrats from all over Chicago that voted for Biden. And now they're voting for Donald Trump, and we're going to ask them, why are you doing that? What made you switch?
Okay.
Wow, that's deep.
We have to get to when he got into the convention center. Sam, have you seen this video of him having an interaction?
No.
I'm not even going to tell you what happens. He came in very hot, and you get to watch this and see it fresh.
That's in your state. You want to know more in your state?
So
They just found 250.
Pause it real quick. Pause it. For folks just listening, he is debating what looks like a 10, 12-year-old child.
12-year-old boy.
This is a Democratic surrogate, I think, for Kamala. His name is Noah, and it's Knowa. He's like a little boy influencer.
Yes, a little boy influencer.
And what I mean by that, he's a literal child. Like he is probably 10 years old.
This is at one point, like when we were doing the Ken and Ken parody, we did a Crowder parody where like I debated my then 5-year-old son, and this is literally what it looks like.
No, Mike approaches him,
and Lindell makes a beeline. Lindell makes a beeline for him, like finds him. Like,
There's a kid. There's a kid. Let's go. Let's go.
He's not gonna recognize me.
That's in your state. You want to know more in your state? So they just found 257,000 votes. This happened last week. A judge ruled in Georgia that are missing from the 2020 election.
So
this just came out. You're behind. You should.
So your source is Trust Me, bro? That's your source?
The source. It's in your papers in Georgia. You need to read your news.
You haven't given me any last name.
You need to read your news. No, this is your Georgia news.
Yeah.
This is your Georgia. This is your Georgia news.
Thanks, buddy. Have a good day, sir. Let's keep walking.
Wow, his disguise worked perfectly.
No.
That kid had no idea that he just got bammied by Mike Lindell. You just got pillowed, buddy.
Noah, the 12-year-old boy, walks away from Lindell saying, "You're a clown, bro." he literally is like, "You're full of crap," he says. This 12-year-old boy.
You call me a clown, but you don't even realize I'm Mike Lindell.
He had no idea who he was talking to. He thought he was talking to some idiot.
It's me, Mike Lindell. I shaved my mustache. You idiot.
Like who? Who's Mike?
Oh my God.
I know. He goes up to the boy. That's the part that I just can't get over.
Oh my God. Is there any more Mike Lindell? Please. Can we intersperse it with?
We'll monitor the feed.
Ugh, that was all that we could find, but we have the DNC still. I don't know.
Is it still going on?
When's Walz gonna come say?
I know.
If we get to something
not
boring,
until like 11:30.
I'm threatening you guys. If we get to something boring, we have to watch Bill Maher interview some kids.
Oh,
okay. Let's watch Bill Maher interview some kids.
Here's Wes Moore. If we have any, do we have any interest in Wes Moore?
Yeah, Wes Moore. I'm a little bit interested.
When is he like? Okay, Wes Moore, fine, but
thank you.
Okay, then Buttigieg, then Klobuchar, then
March
Walz.
26th.
That's because she's from Minnesota.
At 1:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
A
Also,
container
I think
ship
she's friends with Kamala.
the length of
Is it 1:30
3
now?
football fields slammed into
What?
the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore,
Oh, interesting.
and the bridge collapsed. A port that drives 13% of our state's economy was now closed. Thousands of workers were hours away from waking up and realizing they no longer had a job.
His face is too perfect.
6
It
Marylanders
freaks me out a little bit.
who had been on the bridge in the middle of the night fixing potholes lost their lives. And one of the first phone calls that I got that morning started with these 3 words. Gov, it's Kamala. She said, "I know you spoke to the president, and I want you to know we are here with you every step of the way." Now, I joined the Army when I was 17. In fact, I was too young to sign the paperwork. I had to ask my mom to sign the paperwork for me because I don't have bone spurs. I led soldiers in combat in Afghanistan. And my training taught me that you never learn anything about anybody when times are easy. You learn everything you need to know about somebody when times are hard and when the temperature gets turned up. And America, I saw that Kamala Harris is the right one to lead in this moment firsthand. And united with the Almighty God's grace, we brought closure to the families of the 6 victims. And while many said it could take 11 months to reopen the port of Baltimore, we got it done in 11 weeks.
Someone Trump's missing dentures writes in, referring to Lindell, he looks like 2 kids in a trench coat trying to sneak into an R-rated movie.
We are a nation of patriots who serve when the mission is hard and who serve when the destination is uncertain. And I know our history isn't perfect. The unevenness of the American journey has made some skeptical. But I'm not asking you to give up your skepticism. I just want that skepticism to be your companion and not your captor.
I like that this is a speech that isn't entirely self-aggrandizing.
That you join us in the work.
It's about something broader.
Because making America great doesn't mean telling people you're not wanted. And loving your country does not mean lying about its history. Making America great means saying the ambitions of this country would be incomplete without your help. It's the legacy of those 6 workers who fixed potholes on a bridge while we slept, who were born in a different country, but who knew that America was big enough for them too. It's the journey. It's the journey of a man raised by a remarkable immigrant single mom, a man who felt handcuffs on his wrist at 11 years old, who now stands before you as the 63rd governor of Maryland and the first black governor in the history of our state.
Steny Hoyer, freshly recovered from an ischemic stroke, is in the audience at the DNC.
Jeez.
It's the story.
85 years old.
When I see that, I just wish he was in a mask.
Of a prosecutor who defended our freedoms
seriously.
and had Maryland's back when we needed it most. And now, MVP, we've got your back as well.
Mikey Vinnie Pauli from
Right.
Jersey Shore. Sadly, that's for you. Didn't even hear me.
It's my fellow veteran, my brother, and the next Vice President of the United States, Tim Walz.
Okay.
And now, Tim knows that in the military, you count the days towards mission completion. So guess what, y'all? We have got 75 days and a wake-up until Election Day.
Yeah, like, again, of these guys
75
auditioning.
days and a wake-up.
He's good. I like the fact that in a night where everything about immigration has been about toughen the border, he basically says something that is just exclusively, highlighting the contributions of some immigrants.
5 days and a wake-up.
Yep, I really
He
like
does
that
it
too.
without,
with
it just being sort of like the same tone
and
as
those
everything
who come
else.
after us that they deserve. And
I agree.
75 days and a wake-up.
He could have glossed over the 6 people who died were, migrant workers on the bridge.
Leader
Completely
is Kamala
almost.
Harris, the next president of the United
But he made it a
States.
theme, which I thought was great.
Right,
God
100%.
bless you, and let's leave no one behind.
Please welcome.
I have been
former
following
South
that
Bend,
style
Indiana
guy
Mayor
on Twitter,
Pete Buttigieg.
and he's got the wrong shoulder cut on his suit, though. That's the only thing I would say.
What, too boxy?
He doesn't need those shoulder pads. He's completely.
Thank you.
I bet now Buttigieg does.
Democrats. Thank you, Chicago.
Oh boy.
Here's a sentence I never thought I'd hear myself saying.
Keep it tight for
I'm Pete Buttigieg, and you might recognize me from Fox News.
Here we go.
I believe in
The most
going
fan servicey
anywhere,
Democrat alive.
in service of a good cause. And friends, we gather in a very good cause, electing Kamala Harris and Tim
He's like
Walz,
Robert Downey
the next
Jr. coming back as
president
Dr.
and vice
Doom.
president of the United
He's
States.
just like, yes!
Honestly,
choice could not be clearer.
after everything he says, I sort of hear
Trump
like the
rants
stings
about law and order,
from every 70s
as if he wasn't a
sitcom,
convicted
where it's like
criminal
those
running
last
against a
like
prosecutor.
that like 3-second riff
As if we were going
right
to
before the
forget
commercial
that
break.
fire
Yeah.
on his watch. Talks about the forgotten man, hoping we'll forget that the only economic promise that he actually kept was to cut taxes for the rich. And don't even get me started on his new running mate. At least Mike Pence was polite. J.D. Vance is one of those guys who thinks if you don't live the life that he has in mind for you, then you don't count. Someone who said that if you don't have kids, you have, quote, no physical commitment to the future of this country. You know, Senator, when I deployed to Afghanistan, I didn't have kids then. Many of the men and women who went outside the wire with me didn't have kids either. But let me tell you, our commitment to the future of this country was pretty damn physical. Choosing a guy like J.D. Vance to be America's next vice president sends a message. And the message is that they are doubling down on negativity and grievance. Committing to a concept of campaigning best summed up in one word: darkness. Darkness is what they are selling. The thing is, I just don't believe that America today is in the market for darkness.
You know, he had to phrase it
I
like
believe
the
America
market,
is ready
like the
for a
consumer.
better kind
Right.
of politics. Yes, politics at its
This is
worst
McKinsey
can be
speaking.
ugly,
Yeah, totally.
crushing, demeaning, but it doesn't have to be. At its best, politics can be empowering,
How did
uplifting.
he get a primetime
It can even
slot?
be a kind of soul craft.
Freaking mayor and
2020.
then
My faith
transportation
teaches me
secretary.
that the
He just
world
like
isn't made up of good
appeals
people
to
and
liberals'
bad
worst
people,
instincts about what.
but rather that each
He's
of
well
us is
spoken,
capable
and
of good
he also
and
comes with
bad
his
things.
own sort of like.
And I believe
sitcom
leaders
sting.
matter because of what they bring
He
out
does.
in each of us, the good or the bad. Right now, the other side is appealing to what is smallest within you. They're telling you that greatness comes from going back to the past. They're telling you that anyone different from you is a threat. They're telling you that your neighbor or nephew or daughter who disagrees with you politically isn't just wrong, but is now the enemy. I believe in a better politics, one that finds us at our most decent and open and brave.
I mean, this is
The kind of politics
West
that Kamala
Wing.
Harris and Tim Walz are offering.
Yep.
And as you have felt these many days, that kind of politics also just feels better to be part of. There is joy in it, as well as power. And if all of that sounds naive, let me insist that I have come to this view not by way of idealism, but by way of experience. not just the experience of my unlikely career. Someone like me serving in Indiana, serving in Washington, serving in uniform. I'm thinking of something much more basic. I'm thinking of dinner time at our house
Bread
in
prices.
Michigan. When the dog is barking and the air fryer is beeping and the mac and cheese is boiling over, and it feels like all the political negotiating experience in the world is not enough for me to get our 3-year-old son and our 3-year-old daughter to just wash their hands and sit at the table. It's the part of our day when politics seems the most distant, and yet the makeup of our kitchen table,
Sam,
the
can you tell me what you
existence
search
of
when
my
you
family,
find these?
It's just one example of something
This
that
is
was
Sanford and Son.
literally impossible. As recently as 25 years ago, when an anxious
You don't even know
teenager
what I just
growing up
said.
in Indiana
Yes, I'm-
wondered if he would ever find
I
belonging.
think I'm the very tail end of the people who are getting this bit.
This kind
There
of
was this
life
things called
went from
sitcoms.
impossible to possible, from possible to real, from real to almost ordinary in less than half a lifetime.
Like billionaires.
But that didn't just happen. It was brought about through idealism and courage, through organizing and persuasion and storytelling, and yes, through politics, the right kind of politics. The kind of politics that can make an impossible dream into an everyday reality. I don't presume to know what it's like in your kitchen, but I know, as sure as I am standing here, that everything in it, the bills you pay at that table, the shape of the family that sits there, the fears and the dreams that you talk about late into the night there, all of it compels us to demand more from our politics than a rerun of some TV wrestling death match. So this November, we get to choose. We get to choose our president.
A
We
little
get to
update
choose
from
our
Uncommitted if
policies,
you
but most of
want to
all,
hear Alex
we will
Salmon
choose a better
all over this.
Pete
Oh, I
Buttigieg
haven't
down.
sent it. It's just a tweet. So basically, the Harris campaign got back to Uncommitted, and they said, quote, "A speaker is not happening. Would something else work? Would you be open to a private meeting?"
Instead of a private meeting, which I think would be worthless, I'd like an actual answer as to why that is the final answer. Who's vetoing that and for what purpose? Let's elaborate this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Right.
It's not happening. Why? Because who says? For what reason?
It's not happening because they don't want to say publicly that this is a weakness for them, and they don't want to highlight it at their convention.
And because they support Israel.
Well, I think, I honestly think that the reason why they don't want to do it is they don't want to commit to a position.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. You bring that up, it's going to raise the questions. People are, and they're going to have to answer questions about it, and they don't want to do that. And it just basically means that they're timid about this issue in one way or another. I mean, they've come out sort of like and offered if you read The Hill, you have a sense of what it's going to be. I mean, that's for the
100%.
donors.
Yep.
They don't want to come out and say it publicly because they don't want to deal with the backlash. And they don't want to take that position in public because I think they know amongst Democratic voters, it's their position at this stage is not a popular one, and they want to keep it submerged. And I think they're probably also hoping that by the time that she gets into office, it won't be, the contours of the issue won't be the same as they are now.
Well, that would be very silly. I mean,
to me, Zionist donors is the good enough answer, and that's the one I'm taking away from it.
Yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
John Legend, great.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's 11 p.m.
Who is that on the drums?
I mean, we should probably,
Nice little.
They are doing Prince. There you go, Bradley. You were right. That
well,
is
it's
Sheila E.
It's Klobuchar now. It's Klobuchar and then Tim Walz. I mean, this is...
That's Prince. But Sheila E. doing this is a really nice, classy.
Hey, is that
homage.
Sheila E?
That's Sheila E. on the drums.
A little palate cleanse. Put down a little bit. Sheila E. Search Sheila E. Topanga Mall. She's just walking through the mall, and then somebody's listening to her song, and she's like, "This person probably doesn't even know who I am," and the person did know who she was. That's very sweet.
Oh, that's very cool. Look that up. Also, people should watch the documentary on the We Are the World. On We Are the World, because it's, first of all, just the genius of Michael Jackson, of Lionel Richie too. It just musically comes through. But also Sheila E. I don't want to spoil it, but they included her to try to lure Prince into We Are the World, despite Prince having like this extremely deep hatred and rivalry with Michael Jackson. And then she figures out that they're using her midway through the documentary. I won't say what happens, but it's pretty interesting and rare that, when people are still alive and documentaries are made about them, they often put their thumb on the scale to not look so good. Sheila E. was, really cool, interesting, and whatever in that documentary. So people should check that out.
I am pretty sure that I saw Sheila E. in 1985 at the Centrum in Worcester. With Prince. I think she opened up.
When I worked for the city in Queens, she's a Queens native, so she played it in Flushing Meadow Corona Park for a free show. Her and Kool and the Gang. That was
I'm pretty sure it was Sheila E. I think she brought a guy on stage from the audience, made him take off his belt, and it was 1985. Anything goes at that time.
It was
But
open
I think
season.
basically sat on top of him on a chair.
Was it slightly mind blowing as a 19-year-old?
I mean, you'd see stuff at the Worcester Centrum that would blow your mind all the time. I'm actually I was with somebody at the time. Did we see Sheila E. at the Centrum in 1985? I'm pretty sure. Incidentally, that's the way Grandpa texts. He talks into his phone. And then he spends the next 25 minutes trying to stop the microphone.
Don't keep recording me.
It's
incredible. I just want to say I feel so motivated after tonight. It's never been more clear.
She's best friends with Kamala Harris. Does she really need more motivation?
They're going to protect our freedoms. The freedom to read whatever books you want. The freedom to work one job and afford your rent. And Kamala Harris and Tim Walz will protect your freedom to start a family on your own terms. And if you ask me, that is something
Somebody
worth
said
fighting
Josh
for.
Shapiro is like if Barack Obama had a baby with Steve Mnuchin.
The next Vice President of the United States, Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. And to take us there, please welcome to the stage Minnesota Senator Amy Klobuchar.
Here we go.
Okay. That was a warm-up act.
Does she throw staplers? Is she the one who throws staplers?
Yes,
and
ate a salad with a comb.
They should have incorporated that in this.
For you in support of our next Vice President, Tim Walz. In Minnesota, we trust a coach who turned a team that was
They're really leaning into this coach thing.
into state champions. In Minnesota, we trust a hunter who has stood in a deer stand in 10-degree weather. In Minnesota, we trust a candidate who has made a viral video on how to change a burnt-out headlight. And I know we aren't alone, but in Minnesota, we love a dad in plaid. So
That
Tim and
sounds
I
creepy.
go way back. He taught high school right down the road from where my husband John grew up. My mother-in-law even brought him and Gwen a Parmesan chicken dinner when their son was born. That's what we do in America. We look out for our neighbors. Tim has been doing
I've had
that
2
his
kids,
whole
and
life.
nobody brought us
On
any
the farm
food.
and in the factory, with his students and his fellow service members. And the truth is, that matters. Who better to take on the price of gas than a guy who could pull over to help change your tire? Who better to serve
This
our
is all like
nation
Twitter
than a
memes.
guy who has served in uniform? Who better to find common ground than a guy with Midwestern common sense? A former football coach knows how to level the playing field. And a former public school teacher knows how to school the likes of J.D. Vance. What you've done with your life matters, and what you do with power matters too. Tim has delivered paid leave,
15-minute
school
speech from
and the biggest tax cut in Minnesota history. A Democrat from a red district in a purple state, Tim has brought Minnesota together. And together with Vice President Kamala Harris, I know he will do the same for our nation. America, there is so much that we share, so much that connects us. Way up north in Minnesota, out of Lake Itasca, flows the Mississippi River. It starts small and it grows wider. It flows down to Wisconsin and to Iowa. It goes down to Illinois and to Missouri. It goes to Kentucky and Tennessee. It goes to Arkansas, and it goes way down to Mississippi. And then it goes all the way down to New Orleans, Louisiana, where the spirit of our nation's resilience abounds. So let us commit here and now to cross the river of our divides to get to a higher ground. And let us join together to elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
Bring him out. Now's the time. Strike while the iron's hot. Did Emma leave? Where did Emma go?
She's coming back.
What happened? Did you throw a stapler at anybody?
Please welcome
That's
Ben
what I
Ingman
said.
from Minnesota.
Oh, that's what you said.
Who's Ben
is this?
Ingman? Just bring out Tim Walz.
This is the other. This is a former student of
the kind
his.
of guy
Oh.
you can count on
to push you out
So
of
I
the
watched.
I forgot
Can you
about
just
this.
mute this? I don't care.
I know this because
Oh well, okay. All right, we'll play it. Sorry, I just was.
We can.
I grew up next
I'm
door.
not.
Okay.
My
Well,
face was. I'm annoyed. I thought she was bringing him, introducing him.
I listened. So I just listened to
I'm
what
in somebody's bedroom right now. It's not my
I know.
bedroom.
That pink and green is now your chosen decor, Mr.
Well,
Navy.
I mean, I'm saying it. Yeah, I know exactly. If it was my
Right.
bedroom, it would be all different shades of blue.
So I listened to like Keith Ellison gave that address that John Nichols interviewed Keith Ellison for The Nation before the DNC, and it was like the headline of the piece that he was going to specifically highlight Gaza. Then after Ellison came on, that's when the family of that hostage came on, and they gave a lot of, in my view, propaganda. But of course they're grieving, so got to give them grace. But what the purpose of that was propagandistic for the Democratic Party's
Speaking
purposes.
for a party that is not securing the release of those hostages, in fact, is allowing Bibi to use them as a license for genocide. But continue.
And it's just like, I listened to what Ellison said, and I really like him, but it's not a substitute for. Okay, Walz is coming out. It was basically. Oh no. Okay, these are his former football player. It was, long story short, it was basically just like the ceasefire hostages line, and trust me, Tim, Walz, and Harris agree with you. Trust me. We don't need to. We'll watch it tomorrow. It's just too much to deal with right now. But like, that's not a substitute for an uncommitted or a Palestinian speaker.
It's a lie.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't believe it. I think it's a lie, and I think if it wasn't a lie, you would at least have a goddamn Palestinian speaking, and instead like American Express and like the third billionaire. That is a signal. I don't know how to take it as anything other than that. And if they want people to act as if it wasn't, then they should do something to actually signal that rather than have Keith Ellison blow his credibility.
Yeah. I mean, right.
Anyway, some football team.
Are they playing Glory Days to this? They better be.
You want to give us some volume, brother?
all this got me thinking about the kinds of leaders we need. We want the people in charge to be genuine, compassionate, and trustworthy. The thing is, there are people in our neighborhoods who fit this description. The kind of people who display quiet leadership by helping kids pay for their lunches.
So that was his whole old football
together
team
to believe in each other.
coming out there.
And when we're
That's
stuck in
pretty
the
cool.
snow,
Yeah.
they push us out.
I like the guy who's like, I'm wearing my pads. I'm not just wearing a shirt. I'm wearing my pads.
That people like that would run for
Sam,
office.
Milo would like this movie,
in my
but
neighborhood,
Bottoms,
Someone like that did
whatever.
run for office.
It's this new comedy that came out.
he's
It's one of the
going to
best
be
I've seen
a
in
wonderful
years,
vice
and
president.
it's a high school comedy, and it's kind of surrealist, and all the football players are in like full pads and like they're the whole movie, like they in class, and it's well done. Yeah.
Out here in the wide open spaces, we are reminded of the values we share. A commitment to community, country, and standing up for what's right. Tim Walz grew up in a small town in Nebraska where he spent summers working the family farm. There were just 24 students in his graduating class. His dad served during the Korean War, and that meant a lot to Tim. So he enlisted right after his 17th birthday and served 24 years in the National Guard, rising to Command Sergeant Major. Tim went to college on the GI Bill and became a social studies teacher. That's where Tim and I met. We shared a classroom with a divider right down the middle. His classroom was a lot louder than mine, but I could hear how engaged his students were. Tim taught for over 15 years, and he coached football, helping lead the team to a state championship.
Assistant
after
coach.
0 wins just a few years before.
He's
Tim
just a
taught
defensive
them how to
coordinator. Is that
believe
even
in
important in
themselves,
football?
and that we're all in this together. When one of our students started the school's Gay Straight Alliance,
He never,
Tim
ever
agreed to
turned the
serve as
lights on in
faculty
the
advisor
classroom.
because he knew how impactful it would be to have a football coach involved. He inspired his students, and he
Assistant
changed
coach.
lives.
He is just so joyful in everything that he does, but I think also standing up for, what he believes to be right, stands up to bullies.
Then, Tim's students inspired him to run for Congress in southern Minnesota. Tim spent a lot of time working with Republicans, fighting to help farmers and expanding veterans' benefits. Whether it was in Congress or as governor, his focus has always been helping working people like those he grew up with. That's why he fought for the largest tax cut in Minnesota state history.
But Tim Walz was there for small businesses like ours.
With the urging of Governor Walz, we were able to pass the Alex Smith Insulin Affordability Act, and it has saved lives in Minnesota.
With Tim as governor, Minnesota is one of the best places to raise a family and one of the best states for business. Tim's a lifelong hunter and gun owner. But
I just saw
after the
Matt
Sandy
Iglesias
Hook
tweet
school
that makes me
shooting,
wanna
he
jump
knew
out a
that we had to
window.
do something. So he's fought for background checks and red flag laws. But of all the things he's done, Tim loves being a dad. We struggled to have kids, and fertility treatments made it possible. There's a reason our daughter is named Hope. Hope and Gus mean the world to us.
Governor Walz making good
Why
on a
is
promise
Gus
to his son
named
and
Gus,
family
though?
yesterday by getting him a puppy.
Then we're gonna go get some food, corn dog,
I'm vegetarian.
turkey then, and then
Turkey's meat.
not in Minnesota, turkey special.
He's as at home on a farm, a fishing boat, a football field, or a factory floor as he is on the floor of Congress. Tim's commitment to service all comes back to the values we grew up with. Love your country, help your neighbor, and fight for what's
She
right.
kind of looks like Joe
Because
Biden.
that's
Not enough
what
of an
America
aesthetic break
is
for
all
my
about.
liking.
Two
I'm joking.
middle-class
Ta-Nehisi Coates is at
One, a
the
daughter of
sit-in
Oakland,
for
California.
Palestinians
The
outside the
other,
DNC.
Oh, really?
a
Good for him.
son
Yeah,
of the
he wrote an article
Nebraska
today,
Plains
too.
only in America. Is it possible for them together to make it all the way to the White House?
Please welcome the Democratic nominee for Vice President, Governor Tim Walz.
I wish I wanted to be able to enjoy this. It's just hard.
Me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I like a lot about this, but
Okay, I said CCR. It's not far off.
Was this when he was known as John Cougar, or was it when he was John Mellencamp? Or John Cougar Mellencamp? I can't remember that when. What part of the era? I think it's actually he was John Cougar Mellencamp. John Cougar was Hurt So Good, if I remember correctly.
So more poppy.
Yeah,
Oh,
when he had
Jack
to
and
sell.
Diane, that was then too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for my cool factor, I share a lot of Tim Walz's music taste.
Thank you.
I love
Thank you, first of
CCR.
all,
Yeah.
to Vice President Harris. Thanks for putting your trust in me and for inviting me to be part of this incredible campaign. And a thank you to President Joe Biden for 4 years of strong, historic leadership.
All right, let's see if he mentions anything about Palestine.
It's the honor of my life
I'm not going to hold
to
my breath.
accept
but
your nomination for Vice President of the United States.
What I'm looking for in this speech is public school stuff, union stuff.
both AOC
here
and
tonight
AOC tweeted out the Ta-Nehisi
simple
Coates piece.
reason.
There's a little bit of
We
heat
love
going on right
this
now as
country.
this
Yeah.
sit-in starts going. I mean, gonna need a lot more than a
thank you
retweet of Naomi
to
Klein.
all of you here in Chicago and all of you watching at home tonight. Thank you for your passion. Thank you for your determination. And most of all, thank you for bringing the joy to this fight.
You know my feeling on this. It's not going to let up, and they're not going to be able to withstand this.
Now, I grew up in Butte, Nebraska, a town of 400 people. I had 24 kids in my high school class, and none of them went to Yale. But I'll tell you what, growing up in a small town like that, you learn how to take care of each other.
I am pro shitting on Ivy League colleges.
That family down the road, they may not think like you do. They may not pray like you do. They may not love like you do. But they're your neighbors. And you look out for them, and they look out for you. Everybody belongs, and everybody has a responsibility to contribute. For me, it was serving in the Army National Guard. I joined up 2 days after my 17th birthday, and I proudly wore our nation's uniform for 24 years. My dad, a Korean War era Army veteran, died of lung cancer a couple years later. He left behind a mountain of medical debt. Thank God for Social Security survivor benefits. And thank God for the GI Bill that allowed my dad and me to go to college, and millions of other Americans.
Just contrast that to Paul Ryan, who was in a similar
Eventually,
situation with his dad.
Like the rest
never
of my
talked
family,
about it.
I fell in love with teaching. Three out of 4 of us married teachers. I wound up teaching social studies and coaching football at Mankato West High School. Go Scarlets! We ran a 44 defense. We played through to the whistle on every single play, and we even won a state championship. Never closed the yearbook, people. But it was those players and my students who inspired me to run for Congress. They saw in me what I had hoped to instill in them, a commitment to the common good, an understanding that we're all in this together, and the belief that a single person can make a real difference for their neighbors. So there I was, a 40-something high school teacher with little kids, 0 political experience, and no money, running in a deep red district. But you know what? Never underestimate a public school teacher. Never.
There you go.
I represented my neighbors in Congress for 12 years, and I learned an awful lot. I learned how to work across the aisle on issues like growing the rural economies and taking care of veterans. And I learned how to compromise without compromising my values. Then I came back to serve as governor, and we got right to work, making a difference in our neighbors' lives. We cut taxes for the middle class. We passed paid family and medical leave. We invested in fighting crime and affordable housing. We cut the cost of prescription drugs and helped people escape the kind of medical debt that nearly sank my family. And we made sure that every kid in our state gets breakfast and lunch every day. So while other states were banning books from their schools, we were banishing hunger from ours.
And this is why we get excited about the Seder.
We also protected reproductive freedom because in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make.
That's the freedom refrain.
Even if we wouldn't make those same choices for ourselves, we've got a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
Great line. So I think his son was, I just saw a photo crying hysterically as he came out. I don't know if you saw that.
This is personal for Gwen and I.
Yeah.
If you've never experienced the hell that is infertility, I guarantee you know somebody who has. And I can remember praying each night, for a phone call, the pit in your stomach when the phone had rang, and the absolute agony when we heard the treatments hadn't worked. It took Gwen and I years, but we had access to fertility treatments. And when our daughter was born, we named her Hope. Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you.
There he is. Are we behind?
I'm letting
Don't
you in
fast forward regardless.
on how we started a family.
I saw this image before.
Because this is a big part about what this election is about. Freedom. When Republicans use the word freedom, they mean that the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. Corporations, free to pollute your air and water. And banks, free to take advantage of customers.
Yes, bury the concept of freedom.
But when we Democrats talk about freedom, we mean the freedom to make a better life for yourself and the people that you love. Freedom to make your own health care decisions. And yeah, your kids' freedom to go to school without worrying about being shot dead in the hall. Look, I know guns. I'm a veteran. I'm a hunter. And I was a better shot than most Republicans in Congress, and I got the trophies to prove it.
So good at this.
But I'm also a dad. I believe in the Second Amendment, but I also believe our first responsibility is to keep our kids safe. That's what this is all about. The responsibility we have to our kids, to each other, and to the future that we're building together, in which everyone is free to build the kind of life they want. But not everyone has that same sense of responsibility. Some folks just don't understand what it takes to be a good neighbor. Take Donald Trump and J.D. Vance. Their Project 2025 will make things much, much harder for people who are just trying to live their lives. They spent a lot of time pretending they know nothing about this. But look, I coached high school football long enough to know, and trust me on this, when somebody takes the time to draw up a playbook, they're going to use it. And we know if these guys get back in the White House, they'll start jacking up the costs on the middle class, they'll repeal the Affordable Care Act, they'll gut Social Security and Medicare, and they will ban abortion across this country with or without Congress.
So already, by the way, best speech of
It's
the
an
DNC.
agenda nobody
I mean,
asked for.
his ability to
It's an agenda that
intertwine
serves nobody
his personal
except
story
the richest and the most extreme
then
amongst us.
broaden it out into policies is
And
really
it's an
good.
agenda that does
Like
nothing
only
for our
he
neighbors
could
in
give
need.
this speech. I mean, that's the
Is
the
it
difference
weird?
between-
Absolutely. Absolutely. But it's also wrong. And it's dangerous. It's not just me saying so. It's Trump's own people. They were with him for 4 years. They're warning us that the next 4 years will be much, much worse. You know, when I was teaching every year, we'd elect a student body president. And you know what? Those teenagers could teach Donald Trump a hell of a lot about what a leader is. Leaders don't spend all day
Here she is.
insulting people and
My
blaming
favorite.
others. Leaders do the work. So I don't know about you. I'm ready to turn the page on these guys. So go ahead. Say it with me. We're not going back. We've got something better to offer the American people. It starts with our candidate, Kamala Harris. From her first day as a prosecutor, as a district attorney, as an attorney general, as a United States senator, and then our vice president. She's fought on the side of the American people. She's taken on the predators and fraudsters. She's taken down the transnational gangs, and she stood up to powerful corporate interests. She has never hesitated to reach across that aisle if it meant improving your lives. And she's always done it with energy, with passion, and with joy. Folks, we've got a chance to make Kamala Harris the next president of the United States. But I think we owe it to the American people to tell them exactly what she'd do as president before we ask them for their votes. So here, this is the part, clip and save it and send it to your undecided relatives so they know. If you're a middle-class family or a family trying to get into the middle class, Kamala Harris is going to cut your taxes. If you're getting squeezed by prescription drug prices, Kamala Harris is going to take on Big Pharma. If you're hoping to buy a home, Kamala Harris is going to help make it more affordable. And no matter who you are, Kamala Harris is going to stand up and fight for your freedom to live the life that you want to lead. Because that's what we want for ourselves, and it's what we want for our neighbors. You know, you might not know it, but I haven't given a lot of big speeches like this. But I have given a lot of pep talks. So let me finish with this, team. It's the fourth quarter. We're down a field goal, but we're on offense and we've got the ball. We're driving down the field. And boy, do we have the right
Emma,
team.
are you blushing?
Kamala Harris is tough.
It's like this is made for me.
Experienced, and Kamala Harris is ready. Our job.
It's really, the reality is it's not made for me
watching
as a coastal
is to get in the trenches
idiot.
and do the blocking and tackling.
Yeah, you can't understand this.
I
being
couldn't
from the
understand.
cul-de-sac.
Inch at a time. 1 yard at a time.
The dark truth
One
is that
phone call at a time. One door knock at a time.
I won't make this about myself.
We barely went to our high school football games in Worcester.
I went to an all-girls school, so I don't know what to tell you.
There were parking lots and beer
That's
to drink.
nothing.
We're not going to go
There'll
to
be
a
time
football
to sleep
game.
when you're dead. We're going to leave it on the field.
I organically came to football because I love crushing people.
That's how we'll keep moving forward. That's how we'll turn the page on Donald Trump. That's how we'll build a country where workers come first. Healthcare and housing are human rights.
Wow.
Thank
and
you.
the government stays the hell out of your bedroom.
Simple. That's all you need to say. You don't need to get into, oh, where do we do the cutoff? Where's the...
That's how we make America
Keep these people out of the
where no
doctor's
child
office.
is left hungry, where no community is left behind, where nobody gets told they don't belong. That's how we're gonna fight. And as the next president of the United States always says, when we fight, when we fight, when we fight, thank you. God bless.
So, yes, best speech of the convention.
Best speech of the convention.
You know, with the incredibly large caveat of the genocide and this inability to constantly, you know, to stay present in the moment of our domestic politics, I am just so refreshed by that, by his type of politics.
It's so refreshing.
It's just unapologetically, you know, none of this neoliberal corporate speak, civic mindedness and community mindedness and simple things like we're gonna help your family have lunch and take care of you and healthcare and housing and all that. I mean, they're
Well, the big things that stuck out for me, I mean, aside from the fact that how much his kids like seem to genuinely love him. I feel like my kids,
those very sweet kids, yeah,
yeah, my kids cry like that when I say, put the iPad away or, whatever it is. But to say that housing and healthcare is a human right.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it seems like a platitude, but there are real implications to the idea of housing and healthcare being a human right. I mean, that means they cannot be denied, that there is almost like there is an obligation by government to provide that. And I don't know. I got to do a little more research, but I don't know if we've ever heard a nominee for vice president or president, at least in my lifetime, say that those words. That's a big deal. It's one thing to say everybody should have affordable, healthcare and affordable housing, and everybody should this or everybody should that. But to say that it's a human right is, that's a pretty strong rhetoric. And, it's getting ahead of things. But one of the reasons why I think people are so engaged in the vice presidential sort of sweepstakes is that 8 years from now, that person's going to be in the pole position if
He'll be
Kamala
68.
Harris wins. Yep.
Right? He'll be 68.
Younger than Reagan, who is now considered a young buck relative to what we've had in terms
Trump's
of the presidency.
age when he first got elected to the presidency.
I don't know.
I mean, look, yeah, that's again why I'm with some of the, like, honestly, almost unprecedented ambiguities in Harris's record. We just have to assess these things based on the choices I think that she's made in the campaign. And that's also what gives me optimism, is this selection and like the embracing of these politics and the reports that she was into the idea that he governed and got things done in Minnesota. And we'll see too, because we didn't end up playing this clip, but Peggy Flanagan, his lieutenant governor, who's also a part of the labor, I'm sorry, which order is it in, Matt? The
Farmer labor, Democratic farmer
labor, yeah. Also a member of that party, which is in many ways like hugely responsible for all that pressure. Yeah. She would be the first female Native American governor if he were to be the VP. And she's, I don't know, those are other, like Harris at her Arizona rally was talking about tribal sovereignty and things like that. Just stuff that I don't necessarily remember a lot of other Democrats highlighting in their campaign speeches. You could say it's cynically going to help her in Montana, where we need John Tester to win. You could and Arizona, but you could also
down
say
that music if you could.
Yeah, but you can also say you can be both cynical and also say that, like, if she thinks it's good strategy, that's good for us, because it's not about what's in her heart. Like, Obama thought a lot of things were good strategy that were shit strategy. I mean, Hillary Clinton thought a lot of good things were good strategy that were shit strategy, right? So
for me, Dayan put it best in that interview. I keep referencing it, but I thought this is really important. She's a jump ball, and jump ball is a pretty good situation for, I think people had a mistaken sense of who Barack Obama was. And I think people perceived him as being more progressive than I think he really was. I think people perceived Biden as being more difficult than he was going to be. I think he surprised a lot of people. I think that was a function of, like, Bernie and Warren, frankly. This is, I think we're in a different era where there's a different level of savviness by the progressive wing of the Democratic Party. I think it's bigger than it was 20 years ago. And I think that Harris is genuinely a jump ball. And in terms of that dynamic, Walz is like having two to extend and belabor the metaphor, two guys who are like 6'7", on one side of that jump ball, and or 6'8" or 7-footers. It's helpful in that respect. But all right, let's wrap this up. You guys got to deal with this tomorrow. We'll be back tomorrow night for the last night. Bradley, Matt, Emma, great job tonight. Good luck tomorrow.
Thanks. I'm good. I'm convincing myself I'm good.
All right, well, good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
All right,
fun on
everybody. Thanks for
vacation.
joining us. Thank you.
Okay.
Well, we'll see you tomorrow night. Good luck tomorrow. All right. Good job, guys. Bye-bye.
See ya later.
It might take all the strength I got to get to where I want, but I know somehow I'm gonna get there. I wasn't looking when I just got caught between the truth and the light bar, but finding out won't make me feel any better. Yeah, I know the clock is ticking, but the meds are gonna kick in, and my pilot light shining bright. I guess somewhere the choice was made for the option where you don't get paid, for the road that bends before it finally breaks you. I guess somehow I lost my drive between the 101 and the 5. Do you know how far the detour takes you? Yeah, I know